So let's get started with the first one for today. Pressure of the CSF is mainly regulated by, so I'll just put in the normal values. The normal pressure of the CSF is 10 to 20 millimeters of mercury. Hi, good evening, Dr. Gargi. And alternative terminology will say 50 to 180 millimeters of water. Mark my words there. Normally we read about millimeter of mercury or we read in centimeter of water. Like for example, when you read about JVP is described in centimeters of water, but look at the value that I wrote here. The value that I wrote here was not millimeter or centimeter of mercury, it was millimeter of water. So both of these values are to be remembered. As far as normal intracranial pressure is concerned, there are two alternative definitions. Anything more than this would be called as raised ICP in a person. The values are 10 to 20 millimeter of mercury and 50 to 180 millimeters of water. Yes, I'm waiting for answers. Very good evening, Karan. The CSF will be produced by the choroid plexus, and the rate of production of CSF is approximately 20 ml per hour. And then it's gonna travel through this foramina. You very well know the name of this foramina. That would be foramen Monroe. There would be aqueductus Ilbius. And then we would be having laterally Luschka and medially Magendie. And then this CSF will be flowing into the base of the brain. This is where I've shown is the basal cisterns. And basal cisterns are where there is a reabsorption occurring. So the production occurs in the choroid plexus and the reabsorption occurs in the basal cistern. Now, if you look at the options which are given here, cerebral blood flow, venous pressure. I mean, all of these parameters, when you read about these four options, all of these parameters play an important role. But from physiology perspective, he has asked, is mainly regulated by which of the following? Then the basic point is that reabsorption rate and production rate has to be equal. The rate of reabsorption is equal. It is same 20 ml per hour as that of production. And if there is an imbalance between the two, then there would be hydrocephalus in the patient. The main determinant is not the rate of formation, because rate of formation जो है वो थोड़ा बहुत ही vary हो सकता है. Maybe it can increase from 20 to 25 ml per hour, like in case of meningitis. But rate of reabsorption, even if it decreases by 0.1, you see, what I'm saying is rate of CSF formation definitely is one of the parameters. It can increase from 20 to 25, but if the reabsorption is also occurring at 25, no problems. Pressure will remain constant. So rate of CSF formation is not the main determinant. The reason I repeat once again is even if it is produced at 20 ml instead of 20, 25 ml, 30 ml, like in case of meningitis, the bacteria are irritating the choroid plexus. So due to irritation of the choroid plexus, the CSF will be produced at 30 ml per hour, for example. Even if it is produced at 30 ml per hour, if it is reabsorbed at the same rate, तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. It will not make a difference. But if the rate of reabsorption due to, let me say, tubercular meningitis decreases by even 0.1, it is going to contribute to a hydrocephalus in the long run. So I think most guys have scored this question correct. The major determinant of CSF pressure is the rate of reabsorption of the CSF. Like if there is pus present here, like in green, I can show that the pus of TB is very, very thick. So in tubercular meningitis, we have like basal exudates present. Like the green can be taken as a representation of basal exudates. Then the point is that these basal exudates, even if they are very less in amount, even then they will cause a substantial problem, because mathematically speaking, if the rate of reabsorption is, let's say, 19.8, production is 20 ml per hour, 0.2 ml difference per hour, multiplied by 24 hours, multiplied by 7 days, then by 1 month, over 2 months, it will cause a substantial amount of hydrocephalus like manifestation in the patient. So the correct answer is beta. Cerebral blood flow and venous pressure, they also determine the pressure of the CSF. Yes, because cerebral blood flow decides the amount of production again. Point number A and C. Point number A and C are interrelated. Interrelated in a sense that I can say that if the cerebral blood flow will be more, then the rate of production will also be more. So A or C, agar matlab, why am I highlighting that is because if A is not the answer, then C cannot also be the answer, because both are interrelated. Both of them are determinants that will help in production, but the question said major determinant, which would be given as option number B. PDF, Mukesh, you have to post in the group. Answer to question number 1 is beta. Mukesh, if you're listening, post the PDF quickly. Okay, fine. So we are sorted for this one. Good, good. He has posted, I think. Mhm. Okay, let's move on to the second one for today. Renal blood flow, I have given half the hint in the question itself. The renal blood flow is dependent on prostaglandin release. I mean, what do prostaglandins do is that जो afferent arteriole होता है और जो efferent arteriole होता है, इन दोनों के बीच का जो बैलेंस है, वो बैलेंस मेंटेन करने का जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट रोल होता है, वो प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन्स का होता है. Because pressure difference between afferent minus efferent arteriole is responsible for glomerular filtration rate. Efferent arteriole will be relatively constricted and afferent arteriole will be relatively dilated. So we will be having is a balance or a gradient that is created. Is saying which of the following cells will be producing it. So one you can definitely pick up is JG cells तो renin बनाते हैं, तो वो तो आंसर होगा नहीं. Or macula densa will not be the answer because macula densa is the sensor. So two cells can be ruled out. You are left between option number A and option number D. Let's just see what you guys have answered. Yes, if you look at option number A versus option number D, then the point is when it comes to okay, somebody meant S also. जो lasis cells होते हैं, lasis cells are interstitial cells. Again, but then these are, where are these interstitial cells located? Then these interstitial cells are located adjacent to the JG cells only. I mean, these are supporting cells of what I can say is a combination of this area where you have macula densa and the JG cells present. है तो lasis cells भी interstitial cells, but where are these interstitial cells located? They are adjacent to the JG cell. They are providing structural support to this area. The major site of synthesis, of prostaglandins is the medullary interstitial cells. The correct answer between option number A and D had to be selected as option number D. Interstitial cells of the JG complex is how I can help you remember the lasis cells. They are just giving a support, but they are not producing anything. But in the medulla of the kidney, the medullary interstitial cells, they are the ones which are responsible for production of prostaglandins. And this also explains the fact that why NSAIDs can contribute to development of renal failure. एक को पढ़ते हो analgesic nephropathy. I mean, the clinical correlate is abuse of painkillers on long-term basis. People who indiscriminately take painkiller, analgesic nephropathy can occur. Analgesic nephropathy causes chronic kidney disease. But then NSAIDs, because they will inhibit prostaglandin production, they can also trigger acute kidney injury. That's the surprising thing that you need to remember, that NSAIDs can worsen or can actually trigger acute kidney injury as well by inhibiting renal prostaglandin production. And the function of renal prostaglandins is mainly that it helps in maintaining the gradient between the afferent and the efferent arteriole, which ensures a normal GFR of 125 ml per minute. The correct answer to question number 2 is option number D. Moving to the third one. The question says corticospinal pathway originates from which cells? So corticospinal pathway will be originating from area 4 of the brain. Area 4 of the brain is what is called as motor homunculus. That is where we would be having is each and every muscle in the body. Like at the moment when I'm sitting before you and I'm noting down information, my hand muscles are being used, but each and every muscle of my body is under control of my brain. So this area 4 और motor homunculus में से जो cells और में जो cells होते हैं, उनसे जो fibers originate होते हैं, those fibers control each and every muscle of our body. I mean, we are not using all our muscles, no? Like I'm using only my hand muscles and my speech muscles only. But every muscle of my body can be under voluntary control. So area 4 of the brain would be having special cells. Okay, I had various answers there. जो stellate cells होते हैं, basket cells होते हैं और Purkinje cells होते हैं. Option number A, option number C and option number D are found in the cerebellum. We are not talking about cerebellum now at the moment. We are talking about cerebrum. Yes, you're right. You're right. Option A, C, D would be found in the cerebellum of the patient, and cerebellum main function is maintaining balance. It is cerebrum that we are talking about at the moment. तो वहाँ पे जो cells present होते हैं उनका नाम होता है Bett cells. The correct answer for question number 3 is Bombay. You should be anyway knowing about the cells of the cerebellum, right? And in fact, there is one more cell in the cerebellum that is called as granular cell, which would be having a excitatory output. I mean, normally all cells of the cerebellum have an inhibitory output except the granular cells. So Purkinje, stellate, basket cells ये सब cerebellum में होते हैं. Cerebellum का main काम होता है balance maintain करना. Yep. And pyramidal cells. There are 5 cells, no? Purkinje, stellate, basket cells, pyramidal cells, and then we have this. Okay, fine. It is Bett cells, which would be the answer for this particular question. It would be Purkinje, stellate, basket, and granular cells. Answer to question number 3 turns out to be option number beta. और यहाँ से ये जो corticospinal pathway है, this will go and innervate. It will cross over at the lower border of the medulla. The crossing over of the corticospinal pathway occurs at the lower border of the medulla, and then it will go and innervate each and every muscle in the body. I mean, 80% of fibers will cross over, 20% continue in the same direction. Answer is B, Bett cells. तो याद कर लेना इसको. Moving to the next question, MBB student in physiology practical. I think this is a repeat question. It's just that I have changed the options of this question. The question came in the exam like this only, that a physiology student is given a line diagram for cardiac axis, and how should he be interpreting this diagram? So I would like you to first of all draw values like this. On the x-axis, mark it as 0 and 180, and this would be data for lead number 1. And on the y-axis, you are gonna take up the data for lead number AVL, AVF, and you can mark down numbers as 90 degrees and minus 90 degrees respectively. Then this particular area between a range of minus 30 to 90 degrees, this particular area would be called as normal axis of the heart. But in this question, you can see that the arrow is pointing in diametrically opposite direction. So, yep, I think everybody's got this one correct. If you would be having a arrow like this, I'll just change or use an alternative color. Suppose the arrow was drawn in this particular quadrant, the one that I have shown in green, then your answer will change. Then you will say that the patient is having a right axis deviation. And I think that was the actual exam question. On the other hand, I'll do a color change once again. Suppose they give you arrow in this direction, which I've shown in purple color. Then this superior quadrant would be called as left axis deviation. But what is asked to you is a quadrant which is diametrically opposite of the normal, that is called as extreme axis deviation. The correct answer for this question number 4, answer is option number C. Normal axis is minus 30. I'll just write down the value, minus 30 to 90 degrees. Though in some books it can be given as minus 30 to 100 degrees also, sometimes minus 30 to 110 also. That वो थोड़ा बहुत degree से फर्क नहीं पड़ता. What matters is the orientation for the various axes that I have mentioned. Okay. The correct answer for question number 4 is option number C. For those of you who got it correct, fine. If not, then please work on this information. Very simple, very straightforward information. I mean, there's no rocket science involved in this. All you need to remember is that the quadrant which is superior to normal axis is left axis. If it is to the left of the normal axis, sorry, in fact, this would be left side and this would be right. So if it is going to be on the right of, the right of the normal axis, then we are going to call it the right axis deviation. And in fact, don't go into left and right. I think if you just go by mathematics now, orientation, नीचे वाला quadrant is normal, ऊपर वाला quadrant is left axis deviation, to this particular side is right axis, and diametrically opposite to the normal axis happens to be extreme axis deviation. Answer to question number 4 is C. If you got it correct, fine. And in case you got it wrong, then it should not have happened. I mean, this being a repeat question, not getting any repeats wrong is, I would say, not a very good sign. Okay, moving to question number 5. The basement membrane of the kidney limits protein leakage. So you guys have to comment on the answer and also tell me how much is the normal protein in the urine. I mean, I think though I've spoken about it, but still I would like to know from you that first of all, do we have proteins in urine of a normal person? And secondly, how much proteins do we have? So, yep, I have had two answers at the moment. I'll just tell you whether they're correct or not. Let's look at other people also commenting and also comment regarding, I mean, do we have proteins? Okay, Akshay says there is no protein in the urine. Do we have proteins in the urine of a normal person? Yes or a no? Namrata says yes. Malcolm says yes. Everybody, most guys are saying yes. So how much? How much? Yes, please comment. How much? Yeah, little amount, Rishabh, that is okay. Now you're gonna be a doctor, so your patient will trouble you. No, he will say, sir, how much? Less than 3.0. Okay, 0.3. Okay, but Raj, that 0.3 is valid for albumin, na? Sir, how much is normal protein in the urine of a person? Your answer is 150 milligram. It is not 0.3, it is 0.15. It's more. It is less than 150 milligram in a day. Hardcore physiology, यार इसको कैसे, I mean, how can you guys go wrong on this? Out of this 150 milligrams, some would be coming from the glomerulus and some would be coming from the tubules. Coming from the glomerulus is less than 30 milligram per day. And that makes it remaining coming from the tubules, that is 120 milligram per day. Now, which is going to come from the glomerulus is albumin. So people who are answering 0.3, that is answer for, if I asked you how much is the albumin in the urine in a 24-hour period. I did not ask you albumin. No, I asked you total protein. और यहाँ पे जो protein होता है, that is called as TAM horsepower protein. This TAM horsepower protein is produced by, I think it's a previous question. Everybody knows that TAM horsepower protein is produced by the cells of the ascending limb of loop of Henle. Once you get this information right, now the point to be understood is that albumin is negatively charged. Because albumin is negatively charged and light charges repel each other, तो glomerulus में भी एक negative charge होता है. That negative charge in the glomerulus which repels the proteins and prevents albumin from coming. Only 30 milligram is coming on daily basis. This is because it is being repelled. The albumin आ नहीं पा रहा, वो उसको permission क्यों नहीं मिल रही है? Because glomerulus also has heparan sulfate which is negatively charged, and heparan sulfate out of the four options present here is called as proteoglycan. Answer to question number 5 is option number alpha. The logic is that proteoglycan means heparan sulfate. This is a product which is negatively charged. It is an anionic protein. It is written as polyanionic. I'll write it in fact. I mean the textbook will say, or the MCQ book will say polyanionic. The textbook will say polyanionic proteoglycans, which means there would be heparan sulfate present, and this heparan sulfate which is present will then be inhibiting the release of glomerulus, or inhibiting the release of albumin from the glomerulus. The total amount is only 30, but if you're damaged to the distal membrane, then the amount can increase. We do have type 4 collagen, but then usually with respect to type 4 collagen, they'll have to ask regarding Alport syndrome, the details of which have been already discussed in our earlier discussions, where we have lenticonus and we also have sensorineural hearing loss. Okay, not a problem. I think some electricity would have gone. The power backup will kick in very soon. So even if I would be looking like a ghost to you at the moment, hopefully things will come back, and the internet is still running thanks to the backup. The electricity would come. So answer to this question, answer to question number 5 is option number A. Okay, and in the kidney we have fenestrated capillaries. The function of the fenestrated capillaries would be filtration. Fenestrated would mean that there would be holes present, and those holes would be allowing then filtration to be present. Answer to question number 5 is option number alpha. The concept is proteoglycans are negatively charged and albumin is also negatively charged. Laminin is again present. Karan, the question is, where is laminin present? Laminin is also a component of the basement membrane itself. बेसमेंट मेम्ब्रेन में अलग अलग टाइप के प्रोटीन्स प्रेजेंट होंगे. वन ऑफ देम इज लैमिनिन एंड इट गिव्स स्ट्रक्चरल सपोर्ट, but it will not prevent protein leakage. Protein leakage कौन prevent करता है? तो there are two things that prevent protein leakage. One is heparin sulfate, and the second thing that prevents protein leakage is podocytes. The food processes of podocytes, they play an important role in preventing the leak. Fine. We move on to question number 6 for today. The question says, which of the following is correct about electromechanical dissociation? That would be the keyword, because one of the issues that always comes up is that you are gonna read about this word electro, then he will say the word electromechanical. Yep, it's not dissociation. Lots of time he might actually use the word electromechanical systole. So there are two separate terms which you guys have to remember. Electromechanical systole, if you look at the electrical part, the electrical part would mean that there is a septal activation. That would be the starting of the Q wave. And S2 would mean that aortic and pulmonic valves are closed. That means systole is over. Electromechanical systole means when are the ventricles getting activated and the systole is getting completed. So ventricles get activated with the starting of the Q wave, and systole ends at S2 because S2 is aortic and pulmonic valve closure. So if this question was per se with respect to electromechanical systole, then the answer would have been given as option number beta. But the question says electromechanical dissociation. It means that the heart has burst. This is a complication of myocardial infarction, and the heart will burst, and this would be a complication of MI, a full thickness MI, usually a transmural myocardial infarction. The correct answer for question number 6 is option number D, cardiac rupture. AV dissociation is a term basically is used to represent third degree heart block. AV dissociation word हम दो बार ही पढ़ते हैं. We read about AV dissociation 2 times. One with respect to third degree heart block, and the second time is with respect to ventricular tachycardia. I mean, those are two situations where we read about it. Yup, I think most guys have got it correct. Okay, finally. We are sorted with question number 6. The correct answer for this would be option number D, that is a cardiac rupture that can occur post myocardial infarction. It's usually seen with a full thickness MI or a transmural MI. Transmural का मतलब होता है full thickness myocardial infarction. Okay, we started with question number 6. We move to 7. Counter mechanism would be located in which of the following areas? The options are ovary, brain, intestine, and the ureter. Let's wait for your answers. Yes, guys. Okay, very good, very good. So you guys are well read. Traditionally, they will ask you about counter mechanism with respect to the kidney, but I thought that because you will be able to answer that kidney part very easily, I decided to change the options and did not include kidney. The correct answer is yes, the intestine. सो काउंटर करंट मैकेनिज्म कहाँ कहाँ पे होता है? तो किडनी में भी होता है, इंटेस्टाइन में भी होता है, एब्जॉर्प्शन को फैसिलिटेट करता है. In kidney, it is mainly for solute exchange. In intestine, the purpose is again the same. I mean, the solutes would be getting absorbed. Then, apart from this, counter current mechanism is also present in the extremities, that is in the fingertips mainly. And the main objective is heat loss. And similarly, we also read about counter current mechanism in the testes, because you know the testes should be at a lower temperature as compared to rest of the body for spermatogenesis. So again, to keep the testes at a lower temperature, the counter current mechanism would be functioning. These are the four sites. Basically, for the first two, I can say it is solute exchange and absorption of nutrients. And in the last two, it is mainly heat loss, which is the primary reason why the counter current mechanism is present. The correct answer for question number 7 turns out to be option number C. Yep. Good. Moving to question number 8. The question says, which of the following statements is correct with respect to the renal physiology? Okay. Okay. Here he's asking about the correct statement. Traditionally, we ask about incorrect statement, but here the correct one is being asked. Okay, let me work it out for you. Thick ascending limb of loop of Henle is called as the diluting segment. Yes, it looks a correct statement. I mean, we have a descending limb and we have a ascending limb. So the thick ascending limb of Henle is the diluting segment, and the descending part, I'll write DLOH and ALOH. So descending part of loop of Henle, that is called as the concentrating segment, because it will help in reabsorption of water. And the ascending limb is diluting segment. So option number A looks like the answer to this question, but let's read B. Vasa recta is the counter current multiplier and loop of Henle is the counter current exchanger. Now the issue is in option number B and C, the data is switched. Vasa recta jo hai, that's the blood vessels. No? Vasa recta is the blood vessel, that is the exchanger actually. And loop of Henle is the counter current multiplier. So the data is inverted, and I'll write the correct data here so that we can just retain that as a long-term memory. Vasa recta is actually a network of blood vessels. So that network of blood vessels is the one which is responsible for CC, means counter current, and this would be an exchanger because solute exchange is the main function of the kidney. So the blood vessels will do it. The glomerulus will only provide all the components, but in the exchange, whether it should be retained or whether it should not be retained, the products, that exchange responsibility would be with respect to vasa recta. And if we look at the water moves in the distal loop of Henle, the descending loop of Henle via aquaporin 1. Everything is correct about this question except the word is water moves in. So if we are going to be calling it a concentrating segment, if we focus on this word, it is the concentrated segment. The water will not move in. The water will be moving out. So you can see that one word is changing the entire dimension. Though when you read option number D, it will look like the correct answer because water is moving across with respect to the loop of Henle. That's okay, but the water is not moving in. It is rather moving out, and that is why the concentration will tend to increase. That's when the tonicity or the osmolality of the urine will begin to rise. The correct answer for question number 8 is option number A. Yes, I think you guys did a good job in analyzing the information here. B or C का data inverted है और D में the word out has been replaced by the word in, which tells you that all questions should be read very carefully and the terminology should also be understood relatively well. Answer to 8 is A. Let's move on to the 9th one. Herring bodies would be containing which of the following, and the answer is based on the fact that herring's bodies hoti kahan par hai. So herring's bodies would be, yes, you can comment in the chat box also, where would herring bodies be located, by the way? Yep, I mean which part of the pituitary? Exactly, they would be present in the posterior pituitary. So once you remember that, your question is solved, because when you read the data, you always read about a hormone by the name of AVP, which is also called as vasopressin. और जब वो vasopressin बन रहा होता है, AVP or vasopressin, when it is getting formed, one of the components which I'll just zoom it in, one of the components for this is neurophysin. The correct answer for this question is option number A. Herring bodies are going to be located in the posterior pituitary and they contain neurophysin. Neurophysin is one of the components or structural unit of vasopressin. Neurophysin is structural unit of vasopressin. The main function of vasopressin would be reabsorption of water via the collecting duct in the kidney. बाकी पेप्सिन तो स्टमक में होगा. न्यूरोटेंसिन कहाँ पे पढ़ते हैं? तो न्यूरोटेंसिन is what you read with carcinoid tumor. Carcinoid tumor produces multiple 5-HT derivatives. These various 5-HT derivatives are like serotonin, histamine, and neurotensin. Neurotensin is a 5-HT derivative. We read about it with respect to carcinoid tumor. And chromogranin का पढ़ते हैं तो chromogranin is what we read with pheochromocytoma. And if pheochromocytoma is outside the adrenal medulla, then we call it paraganglioma. Chromogranin is found in chromogranin is one of the products which is produced in pheochromocytoma slash paraganglioma. Yes, the correct answer for question number 9 is option number A. Moving to question number 10. Which of the following would be called as a summation gallop? This was slightly a difficult question because I thought the remaining to आपको आता ही है. But meanwhile, while you are commenting, what I'll just quickly do is mention the hard sounds there. Sequence you guys very well know. So we're just going to do a quick recap here. This is S1. After that, we get an ejection click. After S2, we get is the opening snap. And then we have is a S3, and then we have is a S4. This period is what is called as diastole. Whenever the patient would be having a tachycardia, तो tachycardia में हमेशा क्या होता है कि diastole की जो duration होती है, वो diastole की duration relatively less हो जाती है. और अगर diastole का duration less हो जाएगा, तो what is going to happen is that S3 and S4 will come closer to each other. अगर diastole का duration कम हो जाएगा, तो ये S3 और S4 एक दूसरे के close आ जाते हैं. तो instead of hearing them as two separate sounds, we hear them as a single loud sound. वो सिंगल लाउड साउंड जो हो रही है वो S3 और S4 के मर्जिंग से हो रही होती है. इट इज कॉल्ड एज समेशन गैलप. क्वेश्चन नंबर 10 आंसर इज ऑप्शन नंबर सी. I think you might have got it right, and even if you did not get it right, doesn't matter because this was one difficult one that was for today. Because the remaining aspects of hard sound sequences are well told in both medicine as well as in physiology. Yeah, one more hint is gallop word, no? I mean, if you look at gallop word, I mean, Malcolm did a good dissection of the question. कि gallop word से निकल जाता है because S3 is called as ventricular gallop and S4 is called as atrial gallop. So suppose मैं कह रहा हूँ कि you are not aware of this fact कि summation gallop is a combination of S3 S4 in tachycardia. The point is that gallop word would help you pick up the question because all other options are not related to S3 S4. बाकी सब में S1 S2 आ रहा है. Yep. The basic logic is S3 and S4 मर्ज हो जाते हैं, क्लोज हो जाते हैं, जिसको हम समेशन गैलप बोलते हैं. Okay. Answer to 10 is C. The word gallop is sufficient to solve this question by logic also. Moving to question number 11. In a patient with acidemia, the kidneys will excrete the excess of hydrogen ions via which cells? I mean, there are certain cells in the kidney which would be doing various functions. जो mesangial cells होते हैं ये तो GFR को रेगुलेट करते हैं. और जो जेजी जो लेसेस सेल्स होते हैं ये जेजी कॉम्प्लेक्स का कंपोनेंट होता है. इनका काम सिर्फ होता है स्ट्रक्चरल सपोर्ट देना. So answer cannot be C because it gives structural support. It cannot be D, which regulates GFR. You're left between type A and type B intercalcated cells. So yes, let's look at what you guys have answered. Yes. Hydrogen ions का जो loss होता है किडनी में, that would be via type A intercalcated cells. The correct answer for question number 11 is option number A. जो type A alpha intercalcated cells होते हैं, इसको हम किडनी में अपाइकल प्रोटॉन पंप भी बोलते हैं. Normally we read about proton pump in the stomach, but we're studying about proton pump in the kidney. And the main concern of this would be that it will help in excretion of hydrogen. There is a hormone by the name of aldosterone, जो कि aldosterone increases the expression of this pump. और अगर इसका जो अपाइकल प्रोटॉन पंप का एक्सप्रेशन इंक्रीज हो जाएगा तो बॉडी में से हाइड्रोजन आयंस निकलना शुरू हो जाते हैं. The question then would come in your mind would be type B intercalcated cells क्या करते हैं? So type B intercalcated cells are responsible for bicarbonate loss. Like suppose in the body bicarbonate is rising, then how would the body get rid of excess? Like person is having metabolic alkalosis, and alkalosis bicarbonate will be more. So body को bicarbonate को बाहर फेंकना है. To kick out the excess of bicarbonate, it is type B intercalcated cells that would come in. और अगर metabolic acidosis हो गया, hydrogen ions more हो गए, then the type A alpha intercalcated cells, type A intercalcated cells would come in the picture, and they would help in release of protons from the body. The correct answer for question number 11 is option number A. You need to remember two facts, that if hydrogen is more in the body, then in the distal converter tubule of the kidney, both of these are located in the DCT. Then present in the DCT are type A and type B intercalcated cells which respond to situation of acidosis and alkalosis. जो distal converted tubule of the kidney है, उसमें एक तो सोडियम क्लोराइड को ट्रांसपोर्टर होता है. The sodium chloride co-transporter is the one which is affected by thiazide group of diuretics. And whenever sodium will go in, then obviously water will also be going in like there. Apart from this, you have what I'm writing is A. This is responsible for ability to lose hydrogen. And then we have beta intercalcated cells which are capable of loss of bicarbonate. Depending on, if there are more protons, then they would come in the function, otherwise they would not come in the function. So distal converted tubule mein, and this is where thiazides would come in the picture. If thiazides will act on this, then sodium will not be absorbed, water will not be absorbed, and the person would be having diuresis. And with respect to type A intercalcated cells, the defect would be mainly with respect to renal tubular acidosis. कि जैसे अगर ये cells खराब हो जाते हैं, then the cells will not be able to excrete hydrogen, and therefore there would be a metabolic acidosis occurring in a person. So there is a special type of renal tubular acidosis called as RTA1. In renal tubular acidosis type 1, you will always read type A intercalcated cells are defective. Now, once you know that type A intercalcated cells karte kya hai, the things will become very clear that the type A intercalcated cells are responsible for excretion of hydrogen from the body. If I put a defect here, then hydrogen will not be excreted. And if there is no excretion of hydrogen from the body, it will cause metabolic acidosis in the person. So two applied aspects that you need to remember is type A intercalcated cells के defect को हम RTA type 1 बोलते हैं, and thiazides would be acting rather on the DCT but on the sodium chloride co-transporter. Okay. Answer to 11 is A. We move on to question number 12 for today. Which of the following proteins is defective in congenital nephrotic syndrome caused by mutation in NPHS1 gene? There are two genes which are involved. I think I've taught you this in pediatrics also, NPHS1 and NPHS2. जो पहले आता है NPHS वो नेफ्रिन प्रोटीन के लिए कोड करता है, और NPHS2 जो है 2 बाद में आता है, तो P अल्फाबेट कम्स बाद में, तो पोडोसिन के लिए कोड करता है. एंड ये नेफ्रिन और पोडोसिन होते कहाँ पे, तो दे आर रिलेटेड टू पोडोसाइट्स. They are related to podocytes which are going to regulate the protein leakage. So if these proteins are defective, then the podocytes will not be able to function properly, and the function of podocytes is to limit the protein leakage. I told you protein को रोकने के लिए दो steps हैं. One is heparan sulfate and second is podocytes. If podocytes will malfunction, the protein will be lost in excess or normal. The correct answer for this question would be option number A. Yes. The answer to question number 12 is option number A. N comes before P, so that's how you Norepinephrine for NPHS1 and Podosine for NPHS2. The alternative term that is used to describe the combination of these two defects is called as Finnish variety of nephrotic syndrome. Or instead of saying Finnish variety of nephrotic syndrome, we might even use the word congenital nephrotic syndrome. 12 is sorted, we come to 13. The following curve represents the transport maximum of which solute in the kidney. The hint in the question, I'll zoom it in, is this word transport maximum of 375 milligram per ml. You can see that some products जो होता है पहले तो बस इतना ही है कि कुछ excrete हो रहा है और कुछ reabsorb भी तो हो रहा है और दोनों का जो difference है that will be responsible for the final product. So we read about this product with respect to, okay, I got one as urea and another one that I got as sugar. See, urea is not gonna be, urea per se is not reabsorbed, it is only excreted. Urea is not reabsorbed, no, urea is only excreted, creatinine is excreted. So अगर वो urea and creatinine के लिए curve होता, then it would have shown only with respect to excretion. But here you are seeing that something is getting reabsorbed also, and that is sugar. Because we might eat lot of sweets, like festival time you might be eating lot of sweets, but sugar does not come in the urine. No sugar, if blood sugar is high, sugar will start coming in the ultrafiltrate. But then the proximal convoluted tubule will have a transporter, and you know that PCT में एक transporter होता है जिसका नाम होता है SGLT2, and this will be responsible for reabsorption of sugar. There were two hints in this question. Point number one to be remembered is that transport maximum, TMG word is transport maximum 375 milligram per minute is for sugar. That is one hint. And second point is that to have something which is gotta be both excreted and reabsorbed in the tubule, that's only one product, that is sugar. क्योंकि बाकी सब तो सिर्फ excreted ही होगा. I mean, sodium is again something that can be reabsorbed also because it is sodium glucose linked transporter. But then TM word written is mainly for sugar. This is the actual curve that is given in the book and was probably asked in the exam also. On the x-axis, it would be plasma glucose, and then on the y-axis would be glucose coming in the urine. So what we find is some part is excreted and some part is reabsorbed also. That reabsorption will cause no sugar to be present. Normal आदमी के urine में sugar नहीं होता. But if random blood sugar is more than 180, if random blood sugar is more than 180, like person was given steroids or person is eating too much of carbohydrate rich foods, excess amount, then random blood sugar, if it is more than 180, then you could be having is sugar coming in the urine. Sugar would be positive in the urine. In that particular scenario, when the random blood sugar of the patient is grossly elevated. But before this, usually we don't get sugar. In spite of having a transport, I mean, the word transport maximum is कि इतना sugar आ भी जाए तब भी the concentration of sugar in the urine is very minimal because it gets reabsorbed thanks to SGLT2. Answer to 13 is option number D. Option number A and B are only excreted, but they are not reabsorbed. You're left between only sodium and sugar to select for this question. Okay. Moving to question number 14. What is the effect of norepinephrine on glomerular filtration rate? Norepinephrine is a good vasoconstrictor. So you just have to select between whether it will be acting on the afferent arteriole or whether it will be acting on the efferent arteriole. So let's look at what you guys have answered here. Yes, guys. Yes. When it comes to norepinephrine, the problem with norepinephrine is that we use norepinephrine in cardiogenic shock. लेकिन इसका disadvantage है. The disadvantage is that norepinephrine, what it does is that it constricts the afferent arteriole because it is a powerful vasoconstrictor. And if you constrict the afferent arteriole, the bad news will be it will cause a decrease in the glomerular filtration rate. The correct answer for question number 14 is option number beta. Yep. The main disadvantage of norepinephrine is that it constricts the afferent arteriole and can decrease the GFR. This is why we prefer dopamine in patients who are having a decreased urinary output. Norepinephrine is okay in septic shock. Norepinephrine is one of the preferred vasopressors that we use in septic shock, but it has a disadvantage that it can depress the kidney function. So that's why dopamine would be preferred if urine output is low. 14 is sorted. Answer is beta. We come to question number 15, calculate the anion gap. So you know the formula that in anion gap, you are not supposed to take the potassium values. It is only the positive value sodium which is to be considered. If I take into consideration the mathematics here, the chloride is 106 and 24. So you can work out yourself. Simple basic elementary mathematics had to be done in this case. The patient is having a normal anion gap. Yep. Do not take into consideration the value of potassium. That's the main hint for this particular question. Answer to question number. Yep. The main hint for this particular formula is that the potassium values are not to be considered. The correct answer is option number B. नॉर्मल वैल्यूज जो होती हैं जो नॉर्मल वैल्यूज होती हैं दे आर बिटवीन 6 to 12 मिलीकुलेंट्स या 4 to 12 और 6 to 12 मिलीकुलेंट्स सो दिस वुड बी नॉर्मल anion gap वो 14 तभी हो जाता है अगर हम वो पोटेशियम को ऑपरेट कर लें वही कंसेप्ट है कि पोटेशियम को इंक्लूड नहीं करना है Okay, coming to question number 16. Compensation of metabolic acidosis will result in which of the following? So the best example of metabolic acidosis is diabetic ketoacidosis. And in diabetic ketoacidosis, we always read about small breathing. So small breathing is a method of compensation in any patient who's having metabolic acidosis. The compensation of metabolic acidosis will be respiratory alkalosis. So person has to hyperventilate. When I say the word hyperventilation, yes, so I think only one person answered for this one. I think it was relatively easy one, so maybe that's the reason you did not. The correct answer for question number 16 is option number D, increase in the depth and the rate of respiration, because the body is trying to cause a development of respiratory alkalosis. Compensation हमेशा उल्टा चलता है. Whatever is the primary change, like अगर if he says what is the compensation of metabolic alkalosis, then your answer for metabolic alkalosis compensation will be respiratory acidosis. I repeat once again. Suppose the question says what is the compensation of respiratory alkalosis, then your answer will be metabolic acidosis. Just English words को आपने change कर देना है. Respiratory to be changed to metabolic and acidosis to be changed to alkalosis. Answer to question number 16 is option number D. Moving to question number 17. He says osmoreceptor in the hypothalamus. Like if we are thirsty, we tend to drink water. So osmoreceptor helps in regulation of water intake in a patient. Akshay says if we as we increase respiratory rate, then carbon dioxide will increase. No. If we increase the respiratory rate, then carbon dioxide कम हो जाएगा ना. और कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कम हो जाता है तो प्रोटॉन्स कम बनते हैं और अगर प्रोटॉन्स कम बनते हैं तो उसी को तो हम एल्कोलिसिस बोलते हैं ना. हाइपरवेंटिलेशन कॉजेस अ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड वॉश आउट. कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड बढ़ती है तो मोर प्रोटॉन्स, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इज लेसर मींस लेस प्रोटॉन्स. So this explains the respiratory alkalosis component. On the other hand, if a person is having decrease in respiratory rate, then carbon dioxide will rise, protons in the body will be more, and it will be causing a respiratory acidosis in the patient. दो वीडियोस है मेरे मेडिसिन वाले सेक्शन में एबीजी वाले उनको कर लो उससे आई थिंक यू वुड बी एबल टू गेट लॉट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन ऑन बोथ फिजियोलॉजी एज वेल एज फॉर मेडिसिन क्वेश्चंस. हाउ डीके इज मेटाबॉलिक एसिडोसिस. डीके में यार कीटोन्स होते हैं ना. डीके में कीटोन्स और एसिडिक ना. तो मेटाबॉलिक एसिडोसिस हो गया. जैसे बीटा हाइड्रोक्सी ब्यूट्रेट होता है कि कीटोन्स और एसिडोटिक. द मोस्ट एसिडिक कीटोन बॉडी इज बीटा हाइड्रोक्सी ब्यूट्रेट. तो ये हाइड्रोजन आयंस जनरेट करेंगे ना. असीटो एसीटेट होता है, एसीटोन होता है, दे ऑल जनरेट हाइड्रोजन आयंस. एंड व्हेनेवर H प्लस आयंस आर जनरेटेड तो मेटाबॉलिक. अगर लंग्स की प्रॉब्लम होती है तो रेस्पिरेटरी बोलते हैं. कीटोन्स यहाँ पर मेटाबॉलिक प्रॉब्लम से हो रहे हैं बिकॉज डायबिटिक कीटोएसिडोसिस में ऐसा होता है ना यार कि इंसुलिन विल बी लेस, so sugar will not be able to enter in the muscles, and if sugar is not able to enter in the muscles there would be burning of fat, and burning of fat will produce ketones, and ketones are highly acidotic. तो यहाँ पे लंग्स की तो इन्वॉल्वमेंट हुई नहीं इनिशियली. इट इज बॉडी इज बर्निंग मोर ऑफ फैट, बिकॉज ऑफ दैट देयर इज मोर कीटोन, सो मेटाबॉलिक एसिडोसिस. ओके, सो आई होप योर क्वेरी सॉर्टेड आउट. द बेसिक पॉइंट इज इंसुलिनोपीनिया ना. इंसुलिन की कमी से मेटाबॉलिक प्रॉब्लम हम बोल रहे हैं उसको, और फैट का बर्निंग हो रहा है. देयर आर मोर कीटोन्स बीइंग प्रोड्यूस्ड, सो वी कॉल इट अ मेटाबॉलिक एसिडोसिस. Answer to question number 16 is option number D. 17, what I was talking about was that osmoreceptors in the hypothalamus, they would be contributing to regulating of water intake regulation basically. Like if it is hot, we would drink water. Okay. The question says which of the following would be called as a osmoreceptor. Waiting for your answers here. Pre-Botzinger complex इसका आंसर नहीं होगा. This is the pacemaker of the respiratory center. So option number D can definitely be ruled out. Pneumotaxic center regulates. ये न्यूमोटैक्सिक सेंटर क्या करता है, ये इंस्पिरेशन के बाद में एक्सपिरेशन कराता है. मतलब इफ वी कंटिन्यू टू इंस्पायर आवर लंग्स कैन बर्स्ट आल्सो ना. तो जो स्विच ओवर है कि पहले इंस्पिरेशन होगा फिर एक्सपिरेशन होगा, बिकॉज इफ वी विल कंटिन्यू डूइंग इंस्पिरेशन देन आवर लंग्स विल बर्स्ट एंड वी विल हैव न्यूमोथोरैक्स. So that switch over between inspiration expiration जो alternatively चलता है, that is why pneumotaxic center that's responsible for this conversion from inspiration to expiration. But जो drive है, the drive for respiration comes from pre-Botzinger complex which is in the medulla. So C and D are ruled out. You are left between subcortical organ and OVLT, and the correct name is OVLT, that is organum vasculosum lamina terminalis. The correct answer for 17 is option number B. The main function, this is alternative term for osmoreceptor. Organum vasculosum, O से start हो रहा है. Osmoreceptor, organum, longest name, organum vasculosum lamina terminalis, and this also lies outside the blood-brain barrier. Because if suppose you are in a dehydrated situation, then your brain will shrink otherwise. Dehydration हो गया, brain shrink हो जाएगा, so it will cause irreversible damage. So God has decided that there are some structures which, before brain becomes dehydrated, before the vital organs get affected, we start drinking water, we start searching for water. So this particular area, the blood-brain barrier is present everywhere, but it is not present over the organum vasculosum lamina terminalis to prevent the brain from getting dehydrated. Okay. You can comment in the chat box regarding the function of the subcortical organ. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. सबकॉर्निकल ऑर्गन का फंक्शन क्या होगा? मतलब इट सपोर्ट्स द ऑर्गेनम वैस्कुलोसम, वो ठीक है, बट इसका मेन फंक्शन क्या है? It would regulate the caloric intake, energy homeostasis is the function with respect to organum vasculosum. इसके अलावा water intake को भी regulate करता है. So there are two things which are regulating water intake. One is OVLT of the hypothalamus. Second is subcortical organ. But subcortical organ would regulate apart from this the energy component as well. I mean, one person is hungry, person will try to eat food. Answer to 17 is option number B. Go to 18. Dysmetria is a presentation of lesion of which of the following areas? Dysmetria का मतलब क्या होता है? तो dysmetria basically means inability to judge distance between 2 points. Like if you're driving a car ahead of you is braking. So when you will see the tail lights of the car adjacent ahead of you is braking, then you will also put your foot on the brake so that you don't end up rear-ending the guy's car from behind. But if a person is having dysmetria, then he will not be able to approximate distance between his car and the person's car who's ahead of him, and he might end up with an accident also. Dysmetria is inability to measure distances, and measurement of distances would be a function with respect to the cerebellum. Answer to question number 18 is option number A. Superior colliculus is related to vision. Inferior colliculus is related to hearing. And basal ganglia are so many. I mean, every time we have damage to basal ganglia, then the manifestations that occur in the patient is chorea, we have ethiotosis, we have hemivelismus, and more importantly, we don't have dysmetria, but we have dystonia. The manifestations of basal ganglia damage are chorea, ethiotosis, hemivelismus, and dystonia. The question was on dysmetria, which happens to be a function related to the cerebellum. Answer to 18 is A. Coming to question number 19. Which substance does not cross the blood-brain barrier? The word is not here. So blood-brain barrier is freely permeable to glucose. It is permeable to water. But I think I've given half inputs already. Because if I say anything else, then yep. The answer to this question would turn out to be option number D. That would be proteins. वाटर तो फ्रीली परमेबल होता ही होता है. गैस हो गया जैसे कि कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एंड ऑक्सीजन, that can also travel very easily. Lipophilic drug means fat soluble drugs can also travel very easily by the blood brain barrier. Blood brain barrier is composed of the asked in the previous year, so you know it is composed of food processes of astrocytes. It is freely permeable to oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, and fat soluble drugs, but is not gonna allow transport of proteins. Answer to 19 is D. Yes. Moving to question number 20, circumventricular organs. Meaning of the word circumventricular organs is areas outside the blood-brain barrier. The best example of area outside the blood-brain barrier that I can give you while I'm waiting for your answers is the vomiting center. I mean, if somebody will eat poison or somebody has food poisoning, before brain damage occurs, the body will try to expel it out. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि the poison will go in the brain and then the vomiting center will be activated. Even if person is eating, let me say Chinese noodles मंगाए किसी ने and वो पड़े रहे काफी देर तक, फिर उसने उसको हीट किया, माइक्रोवेव में नूडल्स खाया, तो उसे फूड पॉइजनिंग हो गया. Anybody who has a food poisoning, the poison does not need to go into the brain to cause substantial amount of damage, and then the person will vomit. I mean, the vomiting will start very early with Bacillus cereus or with Staph aureus. Like मिठाई आया ना भी, जैसे फेस्टिवल सीजन है, मिठाई आया जिसमें खोया होता है, बर्फी है फॉर एग्जांपल, and if that's kept outside, you always see all this khoya products there, right? They must be consumed within 24 hours. That's because all these can have growth of Staph aureus, and Staph aureus toxin will cause vomiting in a person. So vomiting center God has kept outside. Similarly, thirst center God has kept outside the blood-brain barrier. That's mainly to ensure that if person is very, very thirsty, he will start drinking water before the brain dehydration occurs. So I think I've given the answer, and I think you guys have answered that also. That when I was saying water intake would be related to vasopressin. The correct answer for this one would be option number beta, posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary would be called as neurohypophysis. Then is the subfornical organ. Then is organum vasculosum lamina terminalis. जो OVLT होता है, this is the sensor. This is the sensor for thirst. Neurohypophysis जो होता है, this is gonna cause a release of vasopressin. It will cause a release of antidiuretic hormone. There are 4 circumventricular organs: area postrema, neurohypophysis, subfornical organ, and OVLT. 4 होते हैं circumventricular organs, out of which one of them was asked. All of these are areas outside the blood-brain barrier. God has treated them like this so that the chances of irreversible brain damage can be minimized. Okay, fine, great. If you can use a mnemonic to remember it, great. Answer to question number 20 is beta. It's not the pineal gland. Pineal gland तो यार वो है ना melatonin. तो उसका तो स्टैंडर्ड सा क्वेश्चन वही आता है सर्कैडियन रिदम वाला ना. Okay, answer 20 is Bombay. We come to question number 21. Yeah, median eminence would be the middle part of the pituitary basically. We traditionally read about A wave in JVP for atrial systole. But today I have asked about A wave in his bundle electrocardiogram. This is a special type of ECG which is done to study the conduction system of the heart. Here you will be having 3 waves which are called as A wave, H wave, and the V wave. The question is regarding the A wave. So A wave क्या indicate करती है? The first wave indicates that the AV node of the patient is activated. It indicates AV nodal activation. Then H wave जो होती है, that indicates his bundle activation because his bundle will be below the AV node. And the V wave will be indicating ventricular depolarization. This is what I'm saying. This is the AV node of the patient. The current will go across the 2 sides of the AV node. Like जो SA node का current होगा, the current of the SA node will go across the 2 sides of the AV node. Then it will enter into the bundle of His. Bundle of His will be having 2 fascicles, that is the left and the right. So यहाँ पर हो क्या रहा है कि there is a septal activation that is occurring in the patient. जब current AV node में enter कर रहा है तो it is responsible for the A wave. When there is a septal activation, that is his bundle activation, that is when there is a H wave. And then subsequently the current will travel downwards by the Purkinje, and that would be responsible for the ventricular depolarization part, which is easily understandable. But the point is there are 3 waves, A, H and V. V में कोई दिक्कत नहीं होगा. Either he will ask you H or he will ask you A. And the point is that H can be remembered from bundle of His. H bundle of His is also H. bundle of his activation. So all that is left here is the A wave, which indicates AV nodal activation occurring in the patient. I mean, we are basically wanting to study this particular part of the heart. We are trying to study this particular part of the heart, that is the AV node and then the bundle of his. The correct answer for question number 24 is option number C. Okay. In question number 21, I also got A as an answer. Atrial depolarization. Atrial depolarization जो है वो तो P wave के लिए responsible होगा ना? 21 is sorted. It is option number C. If you have to study this particular part of the heart, that is when this special type of ECG is done, that is called as His bundle electrocardiogram. That's to study the conduction defects occurring here. 21 we are sorted. Answer is option number C. Option number A तो surface ECG लिखेगा ना, फिर वो surface ECG would be related to atrial depolarization, that is the P wave. Okay, coming to question number 22.
हेलो हाँ दादा एक मिनट ओए तुझे कॉल है तेरे लिए कॉल आया है
कहाँ से प्रोड्यूस होता है? Erythropoietin is one produced by the kidney and second is produced by the liver. 85% of the erythropoietin in the body is produced by the kidney and then would be by the liver, remaining 15%. And when it comes to the kidney per se, the site of production of erythropoietin is what you can answer here. Sinusoidal cells of the hepatocytes are the ones which are responsible for production of erythropoietin. Can you comment on which cells in the kidney produce erythropoietin? Okay, I've had answers also. That is peritubular cells. Very good, Balraj. Peritubular cells will be producing erythropoietin. And ये erythropoietin जो होता है, इसका जो stimulus होता है वो hypoxia होता है. Hypoxia के response में, yes, interstitial cells of peritubular capillaries. Okay, so hypoxia is the trigger. And this hypoxia causes production of what is called as HIF alpha. This HIF alpha is the main trigger behind it. It is hypoxia inducible factor which is responsible for the production of erythropoietin. The example I can give is कि जैसे chronic bronchitis के patients होते हैं, जो chronic bronchitis के patients होते हैं या जिन लोगों को tetralogy effalot होता है, क्योंकि उनके lungs में damage है, तो lung damage will contribute to a continuous stimulus to be present in their body. The stimulus of hypoxia will cause HIF alpha to be produced in large amounts, and as a result of it, इनका जो hemoglobin की values होती हैं, that would be relatively higher as compared to you and me. Their fat cell volume will also be relatively higher, so I'm going to call it secondary polycythemia. अगर आप किसी COPD वाले पेशेंट का ब्लड सैंपल लोगे तो ब्लड सैंपल विल बी वेरी थिक because there will be more RBCs present, there will be higher hemoglobin. And another example I can mention is somebody who lives at high altitude. You know, जो शेरपास होते हैं नेपाल में, the ones who regularly climb the Everest, they have a hemoglobin of 18, 19, 20, which is very normal for those people because they live at high altitude. So they are continuously having this stimulus for release of HIF alpha, which will cause their hemoglobin values to be higher and then developing secondary polycythemia. Three examples of secondary polycythemia I mentioned were high altitude, chronic bronchitis, and tetralogy effalot. Okay, 22 is sorted. We come to 23. Parahemophilia occurs due to defect of which of the following? So एक तो hemophilia A, B, C होते हैं. Which would be related to defect of factor 8, factor 9 and factor 11 का deficiency. But parahemophilia is direct related to factor 5. Yes, and factor 5 would be the one that you can currently see. Ideally, तो आपको ये सारे नाम ही याद करने हैं. But then there are some which have very particular names like labile factor, or like you have to read regarding Stewart-Prower. Now, Stewart-Prower would be factor 10, which was one of the options for this particular question. Similarly, factor 12 जो होता है उसको Hagman factor बोलते हैं. Similarly, factor 13 जो होता है उसको हम Lackey-Lorand factor बोलते हैं. So a bit of cramming has to be done for this topic. The correct answer for this one is parahemophilia would be related to option number D, that is labile factor. This would be hemophilia A. Stewart-Prower factor, as I explained to you, would be factor 10. And Hagman factor, as I explained to you, would be factor number 12. This would be present in the PDF as well. So I would suggest you to go through these entire names. Try to write them down. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 में तो कोई issue होगा भी नहीं, and it's unlikely that he'll ask about 1, 2, 3, 4. Mostly the issue will start from like 5, or then again 8 or 9 are easy. You know, AHF 1 and AHF 2. So that AHF A or AHF B. So it's mainly like Stewart-Prower or Hagman factor or Lucky-Lorand that can be asked. Okay. Clotting factor with the shortest half-life you very well know. That would be factor number 7. Pro-converting or stable factor has the shortest half-life. Can you comment in the chat box which clotting factor has the longest half-life? 2, 7, 9, 10 में से shortest half-life 7 की होती है. Can you tell me which clotting factor has the longest half-life? Overall बताना मुझे 2, 7, 9, 10 में से मत बताना. Clotting factor with the overall longest half-life. Yes. 2, 7, 9, 10 में से तो 2 हो जाएगी. अगर 2, 7, 9, 10 है तो फिर 2 हो जाएगी. शॉर्टेस्ट हाफ लाइफ होगी 7 की. जो विटामिन के डिपेंडेंट होते हैं उसमें शॉर्टेस्ट 7 होता है, लॉन्गेस्ट 2 होता है, प्रोथ्रोम्बिन होता है. ओवरऑल अगर पूछे तो नहीं, इट्स नॉट फैक्टर 10. ना 2, 7, 9, 10 में से जो विटामिन के डिपेंडेंट उसमें तो फैक्टर 2 है. ओवरऑल जो लॉन्गेस्ट हाफ लाइफ होगी. यस यस. ओके ओके, गुड गुड. One good answer I got was fibrinogen. Okay, okay. Anybody else? Overall जो longest half life होती है, हाँ जी हाँ जी. Yes, yes, yes. Overall जो longest half life है, that would be answered as factor 1 और फिर factor 13 का. दो का जो longest half life आएगा, that is fibrinogen and factor 13. Have overall the longest half life 1 and 13. I'll answer 1 right now and 13 also. Fibrin stabilizing factor. 2, 7, 9, 10 में तो कोई issue नहीं है. That is 2 would be given as answer. Answer to 23 is option number D. Parahemophilia is a defect related to factor 5 basically. That's called as labile factor. Moving to question number 24, which of the following is not true about the aorta? Wind castle का मतलब होता है elastic recoil. I mean any blood vessel having a good amount of elastic recoil. We are gonna call it a wind castle. Wind castle. So option number A looks fine, and aorta also has a high velocity flow present. But the wrong statement here is very clearly maximum cross-sectional area, because जो maximum cross-sectional area होगा वो तो capillaries का होगा. इलास्टिक रिकॉइल के लिए इलास्टिन भी होना चाहिए. सो ए और टी तो आपस में रिलेटेड ही है कि विंड कैसल वेसल्स वही होती हैं जिनमें इलास्टिन कंपोनेंट ज्यादा होता है. सो दे आर एबल टू जनरेट पेरिफेरल रेजिस्टेंस, दे आर एबल टू जनरेट रिकॉइल. Between maximum velocity of flow and maximum cross-sectional area, the wrong statement here is maximum cross-sectional area. The question was saying which of the following is not true about aorta. The answer is maximum cross-sectional area because that is for capillaries. Coming to question number 25. Which of the following is the most numerous capillaries in our body? साइनसोइडल का एग्जांपल हो जाएगा जैसे साइनसोइडल लिवर में होता है और फेनेस्ट्रेटेड होती है जैसे कि किडनीज में होंगी फिल्ट्रेशन के लिए। बट ओवरऑल जो मोस्ट न्यूमरस कैपिलरीज इन आवर बॉडी हैं दैट वुड बी कंटिन्यूअस कैपिलरीज, उन पे कोई लीकेज नहीं होगा, देयर वुड बी नो फ्लूइड लीकेज अकरिंग। आई मीन जैसे फेनेस्ट्रेटेड में है ना कि भाई देयर वुड बी लीकेज अकरिंग इन अ सेंस दैट फिल्ट्रेशन हैज टू अकर, उस टाइप का इफेक्ट वुड नॉट बी प्रेजेंट। I mean, obviously capillaries are responsible for exchange, that's okay. But that continuous leakage that occurs like in the kidneys would not be present. Answer 25 is option number A. Coming to 26. Which of the following is correct about Starling forces? Yes, guys. Yep. तो दो होते हैं, एक तो होता है फ्रैंक स्टार्लिंग लॉ। अगर मैंने पूछा था व्हाट इज फ्रैंक स्टार्लिंग लॉ, देन द आंसर वुड हैव बीन ऑप्शन नंबर बीटा, the increase in force of contraction with stretching of myocardium. I mean, if you stretch the heart will contract with more force. That is Frank Starling law. The question is simply regarding Starling forces. Starling forces would mean कि अगर blood vessel है, तो across this blood vessel there would be two pressure heads. One is called as hydrostatic pressure head. The other one is called as oncotic pressure head. Hydrostatic will cause the fluid to move into this area, that is interstitial space. And then the fluid will go back into the oncotic space person. Will go back into the blood vessel because of the oncotic pressure. So the difference between the two pressures is what is responsible for or what is responsible for interstitial fluid presence. Like we have pericardial fluid, we have pleural fluid for lubrication purposes. तो वो fluid बनता भी है और reabsorb भी होता रहता है, इसको हम Starling forces बोलते हैं. Answer 26 is option number C. Yep. So Frank Starling law and Starling forces word is to be identified basically. Coming to 27, a student is taking blood pressure of a patient. Whenever you are taking BP of a patient, okay. Whenever you are recording BP of a patient, when you are checking out with the stethoscope, you can hear some sounds which are called as Korotkov sounds. So saying कब Korotkov sounds को हम consider करेंगे? I mean, when should you take into consideration Korotkov sounds? There are 5 phases of it. And when would you take as systolic blood pressure? So systolic blood pressure would be phase 1. जब वो साउंड अपीयर होती है एंड ही सेज कि कब आप उसको कंसीडर करोगे दैट द कॉर्ड साउंड. ओके, yes. I had phase 4 as an answer which is not the case. It is phase 5. जब ये साउंड गायब हो जाती है उसको डायस्टोलिक ब्लड प्रेशर लेते हैं. फिजियोलॉजी का कॉन्सेप्ट है कॉर्ड साउंड आती हैं, पहले वो फेंट हो जाती हैं, बीच में लाउड हो जाती है, मतलब इंटेंसिटी राइज होती है ना, ऐसे बीच में स्विशिंग है, इंटेंसिटी राइज कर देगी, फिर इंटेंसिटी कम होती जाती है. तो जैसी साउंड अपीयर होती है उसको सिस्टोलिक ब्लड प्रेशर लेते हैं, जब साउंड गायब हो जाती है तो उसको हम डायस्टोलिक ब्लड प्रेशर ले लेते हैं. फेज 1 जो है दैट इज व्हेन द साउंड विल अपीयर स्टेथोस्कोप में. जब आप बीपी को बीपी चेक कर रहे हो ऑस्कल्टेटरी मेथड से, बीपी चेक करने के दो मेथड्स होते हैं, एक पैल्पेटरी मेथड होता है और एक ऑस्कल्टेटरी मेथड होता है. सो और इन ऑस्कल्टेटरी मेथड when Korotkov sounds will start coming, we will say systolic. When they disappear, we will call it diastolic blood pressure. The correct answer for 27 is option number D. जब साइलेंस हो जाएगा तब कंसिडर करेंगे, मफलिंग पे नहीं कंसिडर करेंगे. Answer to 27 is option number D. Come to question number 28. According to Laplace law, the tension generated in the wall of the cylinder, या cylinder की जगह blood vessel ले लीजिए, is inversely related to which of the following? And the formula for this is like this. that the wall tension is directly related to transmural pressure multiplied by radius and is inversely related to the wall thickness. You can see that tension और radius का जो relation है वो तो direct है, लेकिन tension and wall thickness जो है उसका relation inferior है. The correct answer for this question, let's see what you guys have answered. Yep, absolutely. Transmural pressure will be in the numerator, radius will also be in the numerator, circumference यहाँ पर रोल प्ले करता नहीं, तो तीन में से सिलेक्ट करना था, या तो ट्रांसम्यूरल मतलब प्रेशर तो खैर इजीली सॉल्व हो जाता है, इनवर्स रिलेशन नहीं हो सकता, टेंशन इज रिलेटेड टू प्रेशर, डायरेक्टली रिलेशन, क्वेश्चन पूछा इनवर्सली रिलेटेड, भाई नॉर्मल इंग्लिश से भी करोगे तो टेंशन जितनी मतलब प्रेशर ज्यादा होगा उतनी टेंशन ज्यादा क्रिएट होगी, प्रेशर इज मोर इन द ब्लड वेसल, टेंशन इन द वॉल ऑफ द ब्लड वेसल विल आल्सो बी मोर, सो प्रेशर एंड टेंशन हैव अ डायरेक्ट रिलेशन, द क्वेश्चन इज इनवर्स रिलेशन, so inverse would be either with respect to radius or with respect to the wall thickness. Now the correct answer for this one would be wall thickness. The logic where this is जैसे aortic aneurysm होता है तो उसमें wall की thickness कम हो जाती है तो aortic aneurysm burst कर जाता है. You know aortic aneurysm is bigger, so logically तो radius of the blood vessel is more now, so it should not burst. But the point is mathematically speaking उसका radius बढ़ जाता है. Aortic aneurysm, the radius of the blood vessel will increase, but the thickness of the wall will also become lesser. वो इतना पतला हो जाता है कि it can burst also. Answer 28 is D. Coming to 29, baroreceptors will be controlling which of the following? I think easy question है. We have chemoreceptors and we have baroreceptors. Baroreceptors are mainly for regulation of blood pressure. We would be having baroreceptors in the carotid body, and we would be having baroreceptors in the aortic arch. दो जगह पे present होते हैं. Carotid body and aortic arch is where they are located, and they help in regulation of blood pressure. Answer 29 is A. Okay. Okay. Moving to question number 30. True bearing ways are which of the following? Yes, I'm waiting for your answers here. Fluctuation of the heart rate with respiration होता है, ठीक है. होता क्या है कि inspiration के दौरान, I'll just try to draw a diagram to represent this. During inspiration, there is more blood coming in the right side of the heart. क्योंकि इंस्पिरेशन के दौरान द प्रेशर इन द चेस्ट विल टर्न मोर नेगेटिव. अगर आप गहरी लंबी सांस लेंगे, इफ यू टेक अ डीप ब्रेथ, देयर विल बी मोर ब्लड सक्ड इनटू योर हार्ट. If more blood will be sucked into your heart because it will take some more space, so it will cause this septal deviation. And because of this septal deviation, the left ventricle का जो size है, that will become less. If the left ventricle size is less, less blood will be able to come in the left ventricle. And if the less blood will come in the left ventricle, less will be going out, so the BP will fall. So the normal issue is that whenever we take a deep breath, whenever we inspire, all of us have this slight septal deviation, which causes our systolic blood pressure to fall. But the usual fall is less than 10 millimeter of mercury. Now, अगर आप expire करेंगे, तो expiration पे less blood will come in, so this septal deviation will stop. If septal deviation will stop, the BP will come back to normal. So आपका और मेरा जो BP है वो inspiration और expiration में vary करता है. And that variation of blood pressure is less than 10 millimeter of mercury. This is what I said. If I check the systolic blood pressure of you in inspiration, it may be, let me say, 115 millimeter of mercury. And if I check your blood pressure in expiration, if I ask you to breathe out and hold your breath for a few seconds, it will be 120. So आपका मेरा BP जो है, it keeps on fluctuating in inspiration and expiration, and this physiological variation is what is called as true hearing waves. The correct answer for question number 30 is option number beta. fluctuations of blood pressure with respiration is what is called as tube herring waves. ऑप्शन नंबर ए यहाँ पे आया यार, वो तो सीएनएस इस्केमिक रिस्पांस जो होता है वो तो कुशिंग रिफ्लेक्स होता है ना, तो ऑप्शन नंबर ए तो यहाँ पे बनता ही नहीं था. It was only between B versus C that you had to work out, and inspiration expiration में heart rate भी change होता है actually में, वो वेगस नर्व के वजह से, वेगस नर्व का डिस्चार्ज वेरी करता है with respiration, so that this fluctuations of heart rate with respiration is what is called as sinus arrhythmia. हम सबका जो heart rate है that is not constant with inspiration expiration, that is due to fluctuations in the vagus nerve का discharge. But this change of blood pressure on inspiration and expiration due to this septal deviation, more blood coming in, septal deviation, less size of the left ventricle, smaller left ventricle means less comes in, less goes out, and this causes BP to fall to a upper limit of 10. तभी मैंने यहाँ वैल्यू 115 लिखी, मैं यहाँ पे 110 भी लिख सकता था, उससे 105 भी लिख सकता था. I wrote 115 only because the usual fall is less than 10. This physiology is what is called as true herring waves. Answer to 30 is option number B. Can be exaggerated in cardiac tamponade. That's true. 30 we are sorted. Beta, true herring waves, is fluctuations of BP with respiration. Coming to 31, amount of air remaining behind in the lungs after normal tidal expiration is called as. तो इस टाइप से कर्व होता है. So we have what is called as residual volume. This would be expiratory reserve volume. This is tidal volume, and this is inspiratory reserve volume. The question is talking about this particular point. This is what he's talking about. That is amount of air remaining in the lungs after normal tidal expiration. तो expiration वाला ये वाला point हो गया, ये वाला inspiration हो जाएगा, यहाँ वाला expiration वाला हो जाएगा. So he's talking about air remaining behind at the end of a normal tidal expiration would be combination of these two. And the combination of these two is what is called as FRC. Of you got this correct. I think all of you got this one correct. The bottom two parameters, that is the expiratory reserve volume and residual volume, is what is called as functional residual capacity. Answer to question number 31 is option number C. There are 4 capacities, total lung capacity, जिसमें हम सबको ऐड कर देते हैं. So let me just quickly jot down the values. That is TLC. Then we have vital capacity in which we add the top 3. IRV, tidal volume and expiratory reserve volume. Then we have inspiratory capacity in which we add the top 2. If you add the top 2, it would be called as inspiratory capacity. And now we are discussing regarding FRC, in which we are talking about the bottom 2 parameters, expiratory reserve volume and the residual volume, that is air remaining behind in the lungs after normal tidal expiration. Answer to 31 is option number C. ये चारों values याद कर लेना एक बार. Normal spirometric curve is usually asked, so it's a good idea to practice this. Coming to question number 32, basal electrical rhythm. So we know that basal electrical rhythm would be by interstitial cell of Kegel. जो RMP होता है, that RMP will not be constant, it will exhibit an oscillation. This RMP will exhibit an oscillation between minus 45 to minus 65 millivolt. It is the GI smooth muscles which will be exhibiting this basal electrical rhythm. And the question is saying that which of the following will be showing the highest basal electrical rhythm. The answer will be from the small intestine. Yes. Okay, I got A versus B as an answer. So the highest rhythm hai, that would be with respect to the small intestine, that is the duodenum. लगता है stomach होगा, but ऐसा नहीं है. It is the duodenum that would be having, yes, 12 is the value which you have answered very correctly. Highest basal electrical rhythm is with respect to not the stomach but is with respect to the duodenum. Answer to 32, option number A. स्टमक में तो होता भी नहीं है ना, प्रॉक्सिमल स्टमक में तो होता ही नहीं है. Basal electrical rhythm is absent in, then your answer would be it is absent in esophagus and proximal stomach. Basal electrical rhythm is absent in two areas. It is absent in esophagus and proximal stomach. The value for basal electrical rhythm highest is 12 per minute with respect to the duodenum. Small intestine की basal motility हमेशा रहेगी. और लीस्ट पूछे इनमें से तो क्या आंसर करके आओगे? चलो इसमें नहीं दिया होगा, बट एनीवे लीस्ट किसकी होगी? सीकम, यस. Cecum would be least, that is 2 per minute. Duodenum will be the highest, that is 12 per minute. Answer to 32 is option number A. Yes, you're right, Karan, Malcolm. I think you guys answered that correctly. Okay, we come to 33. Maximum water reabsorption in the gut occurs in which of the following areas? Yes, guys. Okay, intestine. हाँ, मतलब देखो ना, इंटेस्टाइन और जेजुनम में से अगर सिलेक्ट करना ही है तो मतलब वो तो ठीक है कि इंटेस्टाइन स्मॉल भी हो सकता है, लार्ज भी हो सकता है, बट स्पेसिफिक आंसर जो होगा आपका उसको इस तरीके से याद रखना ना. ये इमेज थोड़ा सा ब्लर्ड है, बट देन इट इज लाइक दिस. जो जीआई सिक्रीशंस जो होते हैं, जीआई सिक्रीशंस वुड बी मैक्सिमम विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द स्टमक. ये तो हम जानते हैं. द क्वेश्चन इज आस्किंग अबाउट रीअब्जॉर्प्शन. So when it comes to the reabsorption, the maximum would be occurring in the jejunum of the patient. That is about 5500 ml. Total secretions will be 900 ml, 9 liters. Total reabsorption will be 8.8 liters. So जो बच गया 200 ml, the 200 ml will be lost in the stool. That is insensible losses. जो 200 ml का difference है यहाँ पर, the 200 ml difference would be insensible losses in the stool, but maximum reabsorption of water occurs in the jejunum of the patient, not the colon. Jejunum, which is the maximum site of reabsorption. The correct answer for this one would be given as option number B. I mean D और B में से अगर सिलेक्ट करेंगे तो the answer would be given as beta. और यही क्वेश्चन अगर होता maximum water का secretion कहाँ पे हो रहा है, then you can see that the answer will change once again, because as I shown in this table that the maximum production would be occurring, maximum water जो turnover है that would be present in GI secretions, where that would be stomach. Answer to 33 is option number B. Okay. 33 we have sorted. 34. SGLT1 is present in the small intestine. SGLT2 is present in the proximal convoluted tubule of the kidney. The question is with respect to the coupling ratio of both of them. What I mean by coupling ratio is कि वो कितना सोडियम और कितना ग्लूकोज ट्रांसपोर्ट करते हैं. Yes. Okay. Okay, I had variable response to this particular question, so let's try to work it out. You see सारे के सारे ऑप्शंस में एंटीरोसाइट्स ही है, बट देन द कपलिंग रेशियो ऑफ SGLT1 जो होता है वो 2 लिखा होता है ऐसे. Coupling ratio of SGLT1 is 2. Now what it basically means is that there is transport. Okay, I had yes. It says transport of two sodium ions and glucose molecule into the enterocytes. Yep, yep. Yes, the correct answer for this one would be option number D, that is transport of two sodium ions and glucose molecules into the enterocytes. The word is coupling reaction is 2. Answer to 34 is D. Moving to 35. Read this word carefully. Read this word actually carefully. Transport of one sodium ion and one glucose molecule out of the enterocytes. It's not out of the enterocytes, no, it is into the enterocytes. The word is not out now, it is in. Inside लेके जा रहा है ना molecules को, outside नहीं लेके जा रहा है. That's the difference between the two. आप देखो ना बाकी सारे ऑप्शंस में है तो आउट चल रहा है सब में. ए और बी में आउट है और नीचे वाले जो दोनों ऑप्शंस है उसमें इनटू है. वो आउट नहीं लेके जा रहा ना, इन लेके जा रहा है. दैट्स द बेसिक फंडामेंटल डिफरेंस. 34 ऑप्शन इज डेल्टा. 35 पे आते हैं. Protein involved in exocytosis would be which of the following? Yes, guys. Exocytosis would mean that cell से बाहर जा रहा है products. Clathrin and caveolin, they both are related to endocytosis. I think I've solved half the question for you guys. The protein involved in exocytosis would be option number A. That would be the snare proteins. Okay, तो complex diagrams बने होते हैं, but the point is snare proteins are for exocytosis. ये भी बता दो, क्यूबिलिन बता दो. चलो मुझे क्यूबिलिन का फंक्शन क्या होता है? What is cubilin, by the way? Okay, cyanotaxin, again snare, cyanotaxin, they are interrelated terms. Synaptobrevin is what you were trying to say. Yes, cubilin is intrinsic factor का receptor. मतलब अगर क्यूबिलिन की डेफिशिएंसी हो जाएगी तो अगेन पेशेंट वुड बी हैविंग अ मेगालोब्लास्टिक एनीमिया. Cubilin would be present in the terminal ileum. Cubilin deficiency in a person can trigger development of megaloblastic anemia. Okay, we started with 35, we move to 36. Which of the following is correct about Sarca? Sarca, as the name suggests, would be related to smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and it would be related to calcium. I mean, the Sarca Ca would stand for calcium. So what we are talking about here is, and what I say next will give the answer also. So I'll be rather waiting for you guys to comment here again. Yes. और क्वेश्चन नंबर 36, द बेसिक पॉइंट इज सरका जो है मतलब नॉर्मली क्या होता है कि हम सार्कोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम जो होता है उसके साथ में हम हमेशा एसोसिएट करते हैं कैल्शियम के मूवमेंट, बट वी ऑलवेज थिंक अबाउट कॉन्ट्रैक्शन. लेकिन सरका जो है वो सोडियम कॉन्ट्रैक्शन नहीं कराता है, वो रेदर सोडियम के जो वैल्यूज होता है उसको लेस करता है, एंड इट इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर मसल रिलैक्सेशन. आंसर 36 इज ऑप्शन नंबर बी. This would be sarcoplasmic. Okay, let me just write it here. So sarcoplasmic endoplasmic reticulum, calcium transport ATPase. The main function of this would be not a contraction, but is mainly related to muscle relaxation. That's the main point to be remembered. Answer to 36 is B. Moving to 37. Aquaporin 4 would be located at which of the following areas? Because aquaporin 1 is what we study with respect to the kidney. But aquaporin 4 would be present with respect to the blood-brain barrier. डिजीज का नाम बता दो मुझे जिसमें एंटी एक्वापोरिन 4 एंटीबॉडी मिलती है. What disease are you aware of where you have anti aquaporin 4 antibody? Yes, you're right. Aquaporin 4 is located in the blood-brain barrier. Tell me the name of the disease where you have anti aquaporin 4 antibody. The disease will be causing blindness in the person and spinal cord involvement also. ब्लाइंडनेस भी हो जाएगी, ऑप्टिक न्यूराइटिस भी होगा और ऑप्टिक न्यूराइटिस के साथ साथ में स्पाइनल कॉर्ड की इन्वॉल्वमेंट भी हो जाती है. यस, द आंसर वुड बी एनएमओ, दैट इज न्यूरोमाइलाइटिस ऑप्टिका. Yes, the correct answer for 37 is option number C. It's one of the essential criteria for diagnosis of neuromyelitis optica. The combination of दो चीजें होंगी इसमें, ऑप्टिक न्यूराइटिस होगा, ब्लाइंड हो जाएगा पेशेंट, और स्पाइनल कॉर्ड की इन्वॉल्वमेंट होगी तो पैरालिसिस हो जाएगा, ट्रांसवर्स माइलिटिस. Answer to 37 is option number C. Yes, it's essential criteria, not major but essential. Okay, I'm waiting for your answer for the next question. RMP will be generated by which of the following? Normal sodium in the blood is about 135 to 145, so I've taken average of 140. Normal potassium in the blood is about 3.5 to 5.5, so I have taken an average of about 4. The question says RMP will be generated by which of the following? Yes, RMP के लिए एक तो होता है सोडियम पोटेशियम पंप. जो सोडियम पोटेशियम पंप होता है उसकी जो इलेक्ट्रोजेनिक रिएक्शन होती है और वो होती है कपलिंग रेशो 3:2. तो इस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन में सी ऑप्शन तो इसलिए गलत है क्योंकि 3:1 लिखा हुआ है, एंड ऑप्शन डी इज ऑल्सो रूल्ड आउट बिकॉज इट इज रिटन 2:3. We are left with in option number A and B. So let me write down the values here. How much is sodium present inside the cell? Intracellular, then sodium inside the cell is 3. And how much is gonna be potassium inside? How much is potassium inside the cells? It's gonna be something like 150. So one, I want to tell you the fact that there is very large amount of potassium inside the cells. And ये जो potassium का movement out होता है, this is one of the important reasons for development of resting membrane potential. जो सोडियम पोटेशियम पंप होता है, सोडियम पोटेशियम पंप जो है वो इसका आंसर क्यों नहीं है, is because सोडियम पोटेशियम पंप के दो मेन फंक्शंस होते हैं. One of them is obviously RMP. I mean, I'm not saying that sodium potassium pump does not play a role in RMP. It does play a role in RMP. But the main function of sodium potassium pump is mainly osmotic equilibrium. The main function of sodium potassium pump should be answered as osmotic equilibrium. And second is resting membrane potential. And anyway, in this question, even the electrogenic coupling reaction, the ratio was given ulta, 2:3 or 3:1, both were wrong values. The correct answer for this one is option number A. RMP is generated by passive diffusion of ions from the inside to the outside of the cells. I mean, the values of potassium inside the cells are huge, large amount, 150. Okay, good. 38 is A. We come to 39. Okay. 39 says which of the following is not a determinant of plasma osmolality. So we have a formula, and that formula is to be utilized to determine this particular MCQ. जो osmolality होती है, that is 2 times the value sodium and potassium, blood urine nitrogen divided by 2.8, and values of glucose divided by 18. This is the formula for by which we are able to calculate the plasma osmolality. So you can see sodium, potassium will be playing a role, one will be playing a role, but not serum creatinine. The question is which of the following is not a determinant of plasma osmolality. The correct answer for this one would be serum creatinine. Okay. Answer to 39 is option number D. Normal plasma osmolality will oscillate between something in the range of about 275 to 295 milliosmoles. कि जैसे अगर इनमें से कोई भी बढ़ जाएगा तो ब्रेन में स्वेलिंग हो जाएगी. 39 is delta. We move to 40. Band 3 protein will be responsible for which of the following? So we have this RBC. In RBC, carbon dioxide will combine with water to form H2CO3. In this, H2CO3 will then break down to produce hydrogen and bicarbonate. Whatever is the bicarbonate that is produced, यहाँ पे there is a special protein called as band 3 protein, जो कि क्या करेगा कि इस bicarbonate को बाहर send कर देगा. So because one negative charge is going out, a negative charge in the blood chloride will be allowed to come in. This chloride which is going inside the RBC is what is called as Hamburger phenomenon, or is simply called as chloride shift. This protein that I've shown in red before you is the one that is being talked about. We are either gonna call it an anion exchanger, AE, anion exchanger, or instead of calling it an anion exchanger, we are gonna call it a band 3 protein. The correct answer for question number 40 is option number B. Hamburger phenomenon is alternatively called as chloride shift and is present in RBCs. This normal phenomenon that occurs has been asked in the exam mainly with respect to the protein in the cell membrane or in the RBC membrane. Answer to 40 is beta. We come to 41. Total body water in males. So in women, fat in the body is more, and in women, fat in the body is more, and in males, it is water in the body that is more. So to calculate the total body water with respect to a male patient, you have to multiply the weight by a value of 0.6. For a female, the total body water will be a weight multiplied by 0.5. Yes. Answer to question number 41 will be option number C, 0.6 multiplied by weight. Moving to 42, small fiber neuropathy. Small fiber neuropathy is what you read in HIV and in diabetes mellitus. Meaning of the word small fiber is that it is unmyelinated C fibers which are getting affected. Yes, you are right. It is the unmyelinated fibers which are getting involved here, and the बाकी सब myelinated है. A alpha, A beta, A gamma, they're all myelinated. It is C dorsal root fibers which are unmyelinated fibers which are involved here. Small fiber neuropathy means unmyelinated C fibers getting involved, and usually patients of diabetic neuropathy present with burning in the sole of the foot at night, for which there is no treatment also. Diabetic neuropathy is the commonest complication of diabetes mellitus is diabetic neuropathy, and these patients have, I mean, even if we give them multivitamins, they'll not improve. Why? Because it's not myelin part that is affected. I mean, if it was demyelination, then we would have answered it as primarily as, I mean, if it was myelinated fibers, then B complex group of vitamins would have worked, because यहाँ पे unmyelinated है, so that is why it is dorsal root fibers. या इसका ना controversy को मैंने जानबूझ के डाला नहीं, Malcolm. You have to follow the data in FMG solutions, because the data given uh, uh, in physiology book, that is genome, is different from that in pharmacology books. So आपको A gamma A delta से answer करना है. It is basically the ones which are affected in local anesthesia. The FMG solution answer is to be given, and do not answer as what some other forums might be saying. I mean, that's the usual conclusion. And आपने जो बोला उसको I wanted to discuss even in my pharmacology discussion as well. But then most people, if you talk to, not only that, just because I am saying it, even if you talk to pharmacology people, they'll talk about the data for A gamma A delta only, instead of talking about the data that is given in genome. Answer to 42 is option number delta. So please follow the data that I have said and not which is given in some of the forums. Okay, coming to question number 43. आज मैंने कंट्रोवर्सीज को आउट ही देखा है कि कंट्रोवर्सी वाले क्वेश्चन डालते हैं तो वहां पे हमेशा ही एरर्स रहते हैं. Nissl bodies would be present in the neurons. ये होते क्या है निसल बॉडीज? तो ये निसल बॉडीज का मेन फंक्शन होता है प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस. और प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस किसका काम होता है? तो आप पढ़ते हो, एक होता है स्मूथ एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम जो स्टेरॉइड बनाता है, एस फॉर स्मूथ एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम दैट फॉर्म स्टेरॉइड्स, एंड वन इज रफ एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम दैट इज mainly for protein synthesis. So here, since the Nissl's bodies are responsible for protein synthesis, the answer for this question would be option number C, that is a rough endoplasmic reticulum undergoing dissolution in chromatolysis of neurons. Yes, Malcolm, you're right with respect to the steroid component, that is smooth endoplasmic reticulum, but we talk about protein synthesis, which is why the answer is C. Okay, let's move to 44. Which of the following muscle proteins is called as muscle spring? And the hint is that this would also be the largest muscle protein. The question will say which of the following is the largest muscle protein? Yes. The answer is titin, not tintin, but titin. The largest muscle protein is titin, and this is also called as the muscle spring. It provides elasticity and at the same time it also stabilizes myosin. Answer to 44 is option number C. Coming to 45. 45 is dense bodies would be found in which of the following areas? So dense bodies होती क्या हैं? तो dense bodies are basically anchoring sites. Anchoring मतलब जहां पर attachment हो सकती है. Dense bodies are anchoring sites for actin filaments. All you need to do is tell me in which kind of muscles would they be located. I mean cardiac muscle, smooth muscle, or whether it would be found in the skeletal muscle. Obviously the answer cannot be all of the above. Yes, guys. Dense bodies are found in the smooth muscle and they are the anchoring sites for actin filaments. Answer to 45 is option number A. Repeat question from the previous year exams. Coming to 46. active tension in the muscle depends upon. Example I can say is, suppose I'm lifting a pen versus if I have to lift up a dumbbell, versus suppose I have to punch, then the muscles का जो response है that will vary. And if you have to pick up a pen, the number of motor units that you are using with your fingers would be limited as compared to if you have to use a dumbbell instead of, you know, punching somebody where you have to use whole of your shoulder muscles. So I think I've given the answer here also. The tension in the muscle is mainly dependent on not the number of muscle fibers. I got only one comment. Maybe the internet suddenly became slow. Length of muscle fiber? No. It is number of motor units recruited ना. सर आपका जो बाइसेप्स है वो आप कंप्लीटली यूटिलाइज नहीं करोगे ना. अगर आप 2.5 kg का डंबल उठा रहे हो एंड देन यू आर लिफ्टिंग अ 10 kg dumbbell, then the number of muscle motor units recruited will be different. I mean, how does your muscle vary its power output? If you have to pick up a small object versus a very heavy object, then the motor units recruited will vary. The answer to question number 46 is option number B. The meaning of the word active tension would be कि जितना काम करेंगे उतना muscle use होगा ना. Like for example, I'll say like our brain also. The same thing is valid for our brain also. Na? If we are sitting on Instagram the whole day and scrolling, we can pass the whole day sitting on Instagram also. I mean, our brain is getting utilized, but that is low dopamine related activity. But if you are gonna study also the whole day and then maybe use it for relaxation, Instagram for 10-15 minutes, things are gonna be different. I mean, still you used your neurons, but then active usage of neurons occurred. So productivity will change. Same is the concept here. The active tension in the muscle means productivity of the muscle. That is it able to work effectively or not. I mean, if you have to lift up a 10 kg dumbbell versus a 2.5 kg dumbbell, the motor units recruited while lifting a heavy dumbbell will be more as compared to motor units recruited when the lighter weight dumbbell is being used. Answer to 46 is beta. Come to 47. Histamine receptor which is involved in producing stomach acid. जो H1 receptors होते हैं वो तो स्किन में प्रेजेंट होते हैं and they're mainly responsible for causing pruritus. But जो H2 receptors होते हैं वो stomach में होते हैं and they're responsible for production of stomach acid. Yes, the answer to this question would be okay, the answer to this question would be given as option number beta. आप कमेंट कर देना H4 receptors की जो यूजुअल लोकेशन होगी that would be at which areas. H4 receptors की लोकेशन जो होगी वो कहाँ पर होगी. Okay, H4 receptors could be mainly located at RES, that is reticuloendothelial system. H4 receptors जो हैं they would be mainly found in RES, जैसे कि bone marrow हो गया, thymus हो गया, that's where they could be located. Answer to 47 is option number beta. Coming to 48, cat spur would be present in which part of the human sperm? Has to be a fact-based question only. So let me show you the image, which would help you get to the correct answer. ये जो टिप ऑफ द स्पर्म होगा यहाँ पे उसको तो एक्रोसोम बोलेंगे. So जो मिडल पार्ट होता है वहां पे प्रेजेंट होगा कैट स्पर. This would be a calcium channel which would be present in the middle piece. Answer to question number 48 is Yep, answer to 48 is option number C. Bit of ये तो cramming वाला fact है. I mean, with respect to the sperm, we have a middle piece and then we have a tail of the tail of the sperm. So Caspar ion channel would be a calcium channel, which will help in motility with respect to the middle piece of the sperm. Answer to 48 is option number C. Moving to 49, testosterone is converted to estradiol due to action of which of the following? I'll help in ruling out a couple of options like 5-alpha reductase. This is with respect to formation of dihydrotestosterone formation. Yes, guys, you can comment with answers there. And option C and option D are related to dihydroepiandrosterone dione formation. So I think the question is solved here. Testosterone is converted to estradiol due to action of aromatase. Answer to 49 is option number A. हाँ ठीक है ना शिवम, मिडल में माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया भी होते हैं, तो माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया एनर्जी वाला कंपोनेंट हो गया ना, और वो एनर्जी के साथ साथ में कैल्शियम चैनल्स भी ऑपरेट करेंगे. ठीक है ना, आपने जो पॉइंट बोला शिवम, दैट इज वैलिड बिकॉज माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया विल बी जनरेटिंग एनर्जी एंड दैट एनर्जी से होगा क्या, दैट एनर्जी विल बी देन ड्राइविंग दोस कैल्शियम चैनल्स एंड दोस कैल्शियम चैनल्स और कैल्शियम इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर कॉन्ट्रैक्शन, यू नो दैट. तो वो जो सबसिक्वेंट मूवमेंट है स्पर्म की, दैट वुड बी अकरिंग विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द मिडल पार्ट. So fine. I mean, आपने जो बोला that is directly related to whatever I have also said. Answer to 49 is option number A. और बाकी जो पोजीशन है यार वो तो चेंज नहीं कर सकते ना. अब कैट्स पर की अगर पोजीशन मिडल पार्ट में है तो मिडल में ही रहेगी ना. 49 answer is option number A. Come to 50. Which of the following is correct sequence of events in case the ovum is not fertilized? मतलब fertilization हो गई फिर तो embryo बन जाएगा, but you would be having is the ovary initially there will be Mittelschmerz. Mittelschmerz would mean that the lady will be having a mid-cycle cramps because the ovum will burst over the surface of the ovary and it will escape and will then enter into or towards the fallopian tube. So whenever there is gonna be a bleeding occurring, the term we'll use to describe over the surface of the ovary would be called as corpus hemorrhagicum. Then this corpus luteum will then start producing progesterone in anticipation of pregnancy, because one of the main hormones for pregnancy is progesterone. But if it does not get fertilized, then it will produce a scar, and the scar would be called as corpus albicans. I mean, that is what we always study, that initially there would be ovulation. So ovulation के साथ में थोड़ा बहुत bleed भी होता है, which causes mid-cycle cramps in young females. So the term that we'll use for that would be Mittelschmerz or corpus hemorrhagicum. Then would be corpus luteum, which will be yellowish in color. It will produce progesterone, and then because there will be no fertilization, so corpus albicans will be formed, which will be a small scar over the surface of the ovary. The correct sequence in this case would turn out to be option number delta. पहले corpus hemorrhagicum, then corpus luteum, और उसके बाद में corpus albicans. Yes, corpus callosum is in the brain. Fine. Answer to question number 40. Answer to question number 50 is option number D. The number of people commenting in the chat has decreased, so I think you guys can continue with the focus on with respect to the remaining questions also. हेमरेजिकम तो यार इसलिए बना ना क्योंकि फट जाएगा ना. जो कॉर्पस हेमरेजिकम है वो तो इसलिए हुआ ना क्योंकि इट विल बर्स्ट फ्रॉम द सरफेस ऑफ द ओवरी ना, तो तभी तो मैंने बोला कि द वुमन वुड बी हैविंग मिड साइकिल क्रैम्प, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज मिटलशिमर्ज. तो पहले उसमें ब्लीड होगा, उसके सरफेस से फट के निकलेगा ओवम, तो दैट्स ओव्यूलेशन. तो पहले कॉर्पस हेमरेजिकम बनता है, फिर लुटियम बनता है, फिर एल्बिकन्स बनता है. This term that I've written, no, Mittelschmerz, this is for mid-cycle cramps, which will occur around the 14th day of the cycle. भाई normally तो woman will be having problems with respect to menstrual cycle से पहले cramps होते हैं ना, या during menses उसको cramps होते हैं. But a young female came to you and she says, sir, I have no problems whenever her periods are occurring. She says, I get it mid-cycle. Got my point, sir? एक तो होता है most women when they come to you, they'll say, sir, कि Meftol Spas का tablet I eat and I still have these crampy pains. That with respect to just 1 to 2 days before the cycle or during the cycle. But if you have a female who's coming to you and saying, sir, कि 14th day पे उसको या 13-14 day के interval पे उसको mid cycle पे tummy pain हो रहा है, that is mitral tremors, that is corpus haemorrhagicum का formation, which is a normal physiological response. और इसके लिए तो कोई टैबलेट भी लिखने का जरूरत नहीं है. I mean, because it will be short limited, no, it will occur only for few hours. So usually it will not be so incapacitating. I mean, there's a possibility that person may not be able to participate in sports, etc. But otherwise, like it's not very incapacitating to the level जो menstrual cycle से related cramps होते हैं. Where we use the term dysmenorrhea. ये मैं dysmenorrhea नहीं बता रहा, ये तो अभी physiology बता रहा हूँ. That is corpus haemorrhagicum. Answer to 50 is option number delta. We come to question number 51. FSH प्रोडक्शन, वो कहते हैं ना इट्स हार्ड बीइंग अ वुमन, वो वैसे वाला फंडा है. मतलब बेसिकली FSH प्रोडक्शन मतलब बिटवीन साइकिल, ड्यूरिंग साइकिल, एवरी टाइम देयर कैन बी प्रॉब्लम्स. FSH प्रोडक्शन इज स्टिमुलेटेड बाय व्हिच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग. क्योंकि यहाँ स्टिमुलेटेड लिखा हुआ है तो इट इज इजी टू आंसर. इट वुड नॉट बी इनहिबिन, इट वुड बी एक्टिविन. Answer to 51 is option number A, relatively easy to pick up. Coming to 52, which of the following prevents rejection of the fetus by the mother? You see, fetus is like a foreign body and it can get rejected also. But I mean, the physiology has ensured कि नहीं होता. So if I say next, hormone related to pregnancy, the answer will become obvious. But yep, I mean HCG जो है, this human chorionic gonadotropin, it also prevents the mother's immune system from not attacking the fetus. I mean, HCG is important for pregnancy, that pregnancy maintenance, that is okay. But at the same time, one of the important functions is it also acts like an immunomodulator. It helps the mother's immune system react to the fetus as self only. And normally, so immune system is always about self and non-self. कि non-self है तो मारो, तो यहाँ पे it's not gonna attack the fetal tissues. Answer to the blood of the mother comes in contact with the blood of the baby, but the immune system of the mother does not attack the immune system of the baby thanks to human chorionic gonadotropin. Answer to 52 is option number C. Yeah, HPL can work like glucagon. Okay. Human placental lactogen. Okay. Moving to question number 53, which of the following is not correct about vasopressin? Vasopressin is the main regulator with respect to water balance in the body. So vasopressin is produced from the hypothalamus. So ये सही है क्योंकि हम पढ़ते हैं that it is secreted from the posterior pituitary, लेकिन बनता कहाँ पे? तो it is formed in the supraoptic nucleus of the hypothalamus. So option A is correct. It acts on the collecting duct. That's also correct. Water balance is also there, but it is not a regulator of blood pressure. Blood pressure regulation is mainly a function with respect to aldosterone. Postural adjustment of blood pressure is always with respect to the RAS system. And in RAS system, we do not include vasopressin. Yes, the correct answer for 53 is option number D. Coming to 54, Gentleman syndrome occurs due to lesion in which of the following parts of the kidney? So this is the loop of Henle, this is distal convoluted tubule, and this is the collecting duct. तो अगर loop of Henle में defect होता है यहाँ पर, so the disease that occurs in the patient is called as Bartter syndrome. On the other hand, if the defect is in the distal convoluted tubule, then we call it Gentleman syndrome. The correct answer for this question would be given as option number beta. Specifically for Bartter syndrome, answer would be thick ascending limb of loop of Henle. वही thick limb of ascending limb of loop of Henle which was producing TAM hospal protein. That same one is affected. Liddle is okay, no problems. And Liddle syndrome would be epithelial sodium channel. Yeah. यहीं पे epithelial sodium channel भी होता है, उसका gain of function होता है, उसको Liddle syndrome बोलते हैं. Answer to 54 is option number beta. Coming to 55, urea would be synthesized in which of the following sites? तो लिवर का काम होता है अमोनिया और कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को यूटिलाइज करके यूरिया बनाना. यूरिया का जो फॉर्मेशन होता है वो लिवर में होता है. यूरिया फॉर्मेशन occurs in the liver, but then this urea is excreted out of the body with help of the kidney. So if this question was asking per se that urea is going to be excreted by then kidney is okay, but the question was regarding synthesis, which is why the answer to this question is liver. Site of production of ammonia is the subsequent question. Okay, I had A versus B coming up. Why B is not the answer is because अगर question होता है urea is excreted by, then answer is beta. Liver is the site of production. Kidney is the site of excretion. No, Karan. Production of ammonia is not the brain. The major site of ammonia production is not the brain. The major site of ammonia production is GI bacteria. Yes, you are right now. Yes, Karan, you're right. It is the gut bacteria, which is the major site. Answer to question number 56 would be given as option number D. It is the flora of the gut. It is the bacteria which are the source of ammonia production. वही bacteria जो vitamin K बनाते हैं, right? Vitamin K2. The same bacteria which produce vitamin K2 are also responsible for synthesis of ammonia. I mean, 98% of ammonia in the body is by gut bacteria. 55 is sorted, 56 is sorted. Coming to 57, botulinum toxin causes flaccid paralysis. So, I mean, like the history would be honey was given, poor quality honey was given to a newborn baby, and the newborn baby is then having flaccid paralysis. This is because of inhibition of the release of acetylcholine at the neuromuscular junction. So it is a pre-junctional defect, botulinism. The correct answer for this would be option number C, inhibition of a release of acetylcholine. Renshaw cell जो होता है वो tetanus में involved होता है. Renshaw cell is involved in tetanus. Here the question was simply with respect to less acetylcholine being produced and a pre-junctional defect occurring in the patient. Answer to 57 is option number C. Coming to 58, it's a repeat question. Standard lines asked always. Bipolar neurons. Yep. Bipolar neurons would be present in the retina. ये तो सीधा हम रट्टा ही लगाते हैं. I think we know this from our biology days only. Bipolar. We don't know what are neurons in biology days, but bipolar neurons are found in the retina. Communication के लिए. I mean the input and the output. Output would be to the optic nerve and input would be that whatever you are seeing. So bipolar neurons would be found in the retina. Okay. Answer to 58 is Bombay. We come to 59. Ability to read Braille will be with respect to which of the following structures which is present in the fingertips of an individual. Yes. Okay, let's wait for a few more comments and then we can go for the answer. Yes, guys. Ability to read braille. तो ब्रेल जो है कोई गलती नहीं करनी है यार. ब्रेल जो है that would be mainly related to yes. पैक्सिनियन कॉप्सिकल्स प्रेशर के लिए होते हैं. तो आपने जो आंसर करना था यहाँ पे, एक स्ट्रेचिंग के लिए होता है रूफिनीज इंडेक्स, that's mainly for stretching, and pressure is related to Paxinian copsicle. So you're left between two only, Meissner's copsicle and Merkel's discs here. Now the basic point is when it comes to ability to read braille, that would be mainly with respect to this light touch, that fine touch. ये ऐसे braille के ये छोटे छोटे holes होंगे जिसको punch करते हैं, तो that's related to fine touch. This would be related to Merkel cells. Answer to 59 is option number beta. Yep, 2-point discrimination, light touch and 2-point discrimination will matter. The correct answer for 59 is option number B. DBI, Ruffini nerve endings. Ruffini nerve endings, as I explained, is mainly for stretching of the skin. तो total मिला के आपको देखो पैक्सिनियन कॉप्सिकल में तो कोई गलती करता नहीं है because it's related to P से पैक्सिनियन कॉप्सिकल, it's related to pressure, so unlikely. Stretching of the skin, again people are able to remember Ruffini nerve endings. So most of the questions that come in the exam are mainly with respect to Meissner's copsicles and Merkel's disc. And for Merkel disc, you mainly need to remember with respect to light touch and 2-point discrimination, as somebody mentioned very rightly. This is a question that commonly goes wrong and should not have occurred. Okay, moving to question number 60. एलोडाइनिया implies what? एलोडाइनिया का मतलब होता है कि आप टच भी करोगे तो वो पेन परसीव करेगा, या आपने हॉट सेंसेशन प्रोवाइड किया, बर्न नहीं किया पेशेंट को, बर्न नहीं किया पर हॉट सेंसेशन प्रोवाइड किया, वैक्स जैसे लगाया स्किन पे, तो पर्सन इज क्राइंग इन पेन, या फिर कोल्ड सेंसेशन है, आपने आइस लगाया और वो दर्द में चिल्ला रहा है. यू नॉट फ्रीजिंग द टिश्यूज, यू जस्ट जेंटली अप्लाइड आइस क्यूब, आपने पेपर में रैप कर दिया या कपड़े में रैप कर दिया, और इन हैंकरचीफ यू आर रोलिंग अप आइस and you're applying ice to the skin of the person and he's screaming in pain as if you have cut him into half. That is allodynia. Allodynia basically means non-painful stimulus which is perceived as pain. It is not decreased pain threshold. Decreased pain threshold is called as hyperesthesia. Decreased pain threshold मतलब मैंने gently patient को pinch किया. I'm pinching somebody. I'm pinching myself gently. So it's not hurting me. But if you pinch gently and somebody starts crying in pain as if you cut my body into half, that is gonna be hyperesthesia. That आपने उसको pinch किया and it's gonna cause a lot of pain. But if I suppose touch somebody only and it is causing pain, touch is causing pain, cold sensation is causing pain, that is allodynia. So there's a difference between hyperesthesia. Hyperesthesia मतलब decreased pain threshold. You gave pain, the pain is being perceived much more by the patient. But in allodynia, it is altered perception. Altered perception. Touch is being perceived as pain. '60 is option number A. Okay, I had variable response even for this one, or maybe only one person answered. Coming to 61, Young-Helmholtz theory is for, I mean, this was the name of a physicist who, of a physiologist who gave the concept of vision actually. Yes, this would be related to color vision. This theory basically is based on the fact कि 3 color के combination से बाकी सारे color दिखाई देते हैं. The colors that we are able to see are blue, green and red, and the combination of these colors would then help us identify different other colors. There are various types of cones present like S cones, then we have M and L cones. अगर S cones में defect होता है, then the person will develop blue yellow color blindness. Rods are for sharpness of vision. Cones are for color vision. If M and L cones are defective, then the person would develop red-green color blindness. And for red-green color blindness, we use special charts also. Those charts are what are called as Ishihara charts. The answer to 61 is option number C. Young Helmholtz theory is valid with respect to color vision. Trichromatic means three colors are the ones which are analyzed by our eyes, and then the combination of these colors will produce various colors like purple, magenta, etc. All of us like Chinese food because normally we read about sweet, salty, sour, bitter, but then in the Chinese food we put a special salt, and the Chinese salt that is put is responsible for a special taste that is called as umami, and M-glucose receptor. Yes, M-glucose receptor is for which sensation? The answer is option number C. So in the tip of the tongue and in the lateral aspect of the tongue, it is sweet and salt. On the dorsum of the tongue is bitter. Said on the tip is sweet. When you go a little laterally, it is salty. Then would be sour, and bitter would be on the posterior part of the tongue. But then a large dorsum of the tongue would be able to appreciate this umami taste or sensation, which is radiated via M-glucose receptors. Answer to question number 62 is option number C. All of the following hormones increase total serum calcium except, तो PTH तो bone reabsorption करता है, so it will be able to increase the amount of serum calcium. Vitamin D3 also causes increase in the values of serum calcium. Like we give vitamin D to patients who are having less of calcium in their body. When we give vitamin D3, then calcium levels will rise. Calcitonin is the antagonist hormone. Calcitonin is antagonist of PTH, so the answer had to be B, because if PTH will cause bone reabsorption, calcitonin will do ulta. It will rather decrease the total serum calcium. We use calcitonin nasal spray in treatment of hypercalcemia. Calcitonin nasal spray is used in treatment of hypercalcemic crisis. Calcium अगर बढ़ गया 14 हो गया 15 हो गया तो person can develop systolic arrest of the heart. To prevent that from happening, we give calcitonin nasal spray. Coming to 64, all are secondary messengers except, the question can be solved by parafollicular cells. All are second messengers except, तो नाम से ही क्लियर हो जाता है कि एंजाइम का नाम लिखा हुआ है एस. Guanyl cyclase would play a role in production of cyclic GMP. So the correct answer for this one is option number D. Yes. 64 is sorted. Yep, it is to be solved by mainly English cyclase enzyme. Coming to 65, what is the end product of dopamine metabolism? तो एपिनेफ्रिन एंड नॉरएपिनेफ्रिन के ब्रेकडाउन से बनता है वेनियाइल मैंडेलिक एसिड, which is a favorite question of your examiner with respect to pheochromocytoma. And the end product of dopamine metabolism is HVA, that is homovalenic acid. The correct answer for question number 65 will be option number B. Yes. Coming to 66, which is the thickest basement membrane in the body? The usual impression is that aorta की basement membrane thick होगी, but actually में ऐसा नहीं है. I mean, kidney and alveoli, I think everybody could rule out, they're not very, I would say, thick, because kidney by can't be the answer because albumin is leaking across it. Alveoli, there is a gas exchange that is happening. So you had to select somewhere between A versus D only. So impression is that aorta will be having lot of connective tissue. Agreed, but aorta में mainly it is tunica media. Aorta में it is not the basement membrane, but it is tunica media की जो thickness है वो relatively ज्यादा होती है, which prevents any kind of damage. So the correct answer for this one by exclusion is eye lens capsule, which is the thickest basement membrane in the body. Answer to 66 is A. Coming to 67, which of the following is not an action of oxytocin? Oxytocin is mainly for milk letdown. By milk letdown, it means that milk has already been produced. Now it is gonna be ejected into the mouth of the baby. So we have what is called as a milk ejection reflex, because in the breast tissue there will be myoepithelial cells. तो इसके ऊपर एक्ट करेगा. तो मिल्क का प्रोडक्शन जो होता है वो तो प्रोलैक्टिन से होता है, और मिल्क का जो लेट डाउन होता है, दैट इज मिल्क लेट डाउन. One is milk production, that is galactopoiesis, and second is milk letdown is by prolactin, is by oxytocin. Oxytocin causes milk to flow into the mouth of the baby. Prolactin causes milk production, and apart from that, oxytocin can also cause a uterine contraction as well as causes a vasoconstriction. Excess of oxytocin can contribute to hypotension also. Excess of oxytocin can cause hypotension, but usually oxytocin it causes a vasoconstriction. The correct answer for question number 67 is option number A. We come to 68. Which of the following is, I think, one of the easiest questions for today? Which of the following is produced by adrenal medulla? The answer would be catecholamines, and catecholamines would be neurohormones. बाकी जो cortisol होता है, that would be produced by zona fasciculata. Aldosterone by zona glomerulosa. And vasopressin will be produced by the hypothalamus. Slowest gastric emptying is seen with which of the following? तो आपने बहुत बार देखा होगा कि लोग जब अल्कोहल लेते हैं तो अल्कोहल के साथ में दे ईट लॉट ऑफ स्नैक्स आल्सो. लॉट ऑफ दी स्नैक्स आर ऑलवेज रिच इन फैट. तो वो व्हाई डू दे डू दैट इज बिकॉज उससे क्या होता है कि अल्कोहल विल गो इन द बॉडी स्लोली, सो पर्सन विल नॉट डेवलप अ किक इमीडिएटली. लाइक somebody is drinking beer empty stomach, so he will get intoxicated very fast. So to prevent sudden intoxication from occurring, and the person wants to enjoy it, then what he will do is he will eat fat, that is snacks, along with alcohol, so that the kick that comes gradually. The correct answer for 69 is option number A. मतलब I provided the reason behind why people take namkeen with alcohol. Yes, 69, option number A. Slow gastric emptying is seen with lipids. Which of the difference is one only? The correct answer would be D1, deiodinase. This was a very peculiar question. First time it came, I was like, कितना detail पूछ रहा है? But then I used logic, तो logic से solve हो गया. I mean, first time when it came, people were very perplexed कि sir कितना D पूछ रहा है? T4 to T3. I agree. But then by logic, you could solve it. 4 minus 3 would be 1. So D1, deiodinase. एक iodine का molecule has been removed. Answer to 70 is beta. #71 says which of the following combination is incorrect regarding hormone and its site of action? Aldosterone on the collecting ducts. Okay, fine. Aldosterone will act on distal tubule and collecting duct both. Angiotensin acts on afferent arteriole. Okay, looks like a decent statement. ADH in the collecting duct is also fine, but ANP in loop of Henle. ANP होता है natriuretic factor, so this would be mainly acting in the proximal convoluted tubule. ANP का जो action रहेगा, that would be mainly in the proximal convoluted tubule and not in the loop of Henle. Answer to 71 is option number C. Coming to 72. Light reflex. Light reflex would mean that when you shine a torch in the eyes of the patient, there would be a pupillary constriction, and this pupillary constriction would be occurring with respect to the midbrain of the patient. Answer to 72 is option number D, because light reflex की रूट वैल्यू सेकेंड और थर्ड नर्व होती है, और जो थर्ड नर्व होती है वो मिड ब्रेन से ओरिजिनेट करती है. आंसर टू 72 इज ऑप्शन नंबर डी. सर एंजियोटेंसिन 2 जो है उसका जो एक्शन रहेगा दैट वुड बी प्रेजेंट ऑन बोथ एफरेंट एज वेल एज इफरेंट आर्टीरियोल्स. वो दोनों का बैलेंस को क्रिएट करती है. एंजियोटेंसिन 2 जो है इट वुड बी एक्टिंग ऑन द बैलेंस बिटवीन एफरेंट एंड द इफरेंट आर्टीरियोल्स. '73 is Paneth cells produce. I think Paneth cells would be present in the small intestine, mainly with respect to the duodenum. And the main function of the Paneth cells would be that they would be responsible for helping in killing of bacteria by producing lysozyme. Answer to 73 is option number C. बाकी म्यूकस के लिए तो स्टमक में सेल्स होते हैं, उनका नाम फोव्यूलर सेल्स होता है. एसिड के लिए पैराइटल सेल्स होते हैं. पेप्सिन के लिए चीफ सेल्स होंगे. Answer to 73 is option number C. Coming to 74. Maximum postprandial motility would be seen in which of the following areas? And the hint I can say is that some people, when they drink milk, they feel like going to the washroom. I mean, even in some people who are like old, maybe 30 years of age, 40 years of age, even they might tell you this, that as soon as I drink milk, I feel like going to the washroom. That is gastrocolic reflex. So we are talking about motility in the terminal part. I mean, you can rule out two options here. At least I'm ruling out two options for you guys: ascending colon and transverse colon. तो अब बच के दो यहाँ पर. That is descending colon and the sigmoid colon, and you have to select the correct one here. Maximum postprandial motility, yes, would be seen with respect to the descending colon. No, we thought it is sigmoid colon, but that is not the case. The maximum postprandial motility would be present in the descending colon, because वहां से push create होगा, so that ultimately the sigmoid colon the rectum में motility जाती है. I mean, it starts from the descending colon. That's the point, and then the progression occurs towards the sigmoid colon and the rectum. Answer to 74 is option number C here. Coming to 75. The question says, which of the following part of the brain, which of the following parts of the brain would be having the highest amount of blood supply? Yes, guys. Okay, A is visual cortex, which is not the answer. No. It's not even B. अच्छा अब सारे ही हो गए, ABCD सारे हो जाएंगे. तो चलो कुछ तो ऐसा क्वेश्चन होना चाहिए था ना, which you were not be able to answer. The correct answer is C. It is inferior colliculus, which is the part of the brain which is related to hearing, which would be having the highest blood flow. सरप्राइज है, inferior colliculus वो छोटा सा होता है ना, तो highest blood flow कैसे डिटरमाइन होता है? वो होता है per gram of tissue ना, पर ग्राम ऑफ टिश्यू. तो मतलब इसका ये बहुत छोटा है और इसमें ब्लड सप्लाई, इट्स नॉट दैट द टोटल ब्लड सप्लाई इज मोर, इट इज ब्लड सप्लाई प्लस ग्राम ऑफ टिश्यू is more. That is for the inferior colliculus. Answer to 75 is option number C. So yes, we are done for today, and anyway, happy Janmashtami also. सर ANP का जो साइट ऑफ एक्शन रहेगा वो, हाँ, प्रॉक्सिमल टिब्यूल एंड सम पार्ट इन कलेक्ट दिया, दोनों लिखे होते हैं ना. जैसे एल्डोस्टेरोन के लिए लिखा होता है तो इट इज बोथ द कलेक्टिंग डक्ट एज वेल एज द डिस्टल टिब्यूल। ऐसे एएनपी क्या करेगा कि वो प्रॉक्सिमल टिब्यूल में ही मेनली सॉल्ट का जो एब्जॉर्प्शन होता है ना, 65% ऑफ सॉल्ट एब्जॉर्प्शन अकर्स इन द प्रॉक्सिमल टिब्यूल ना, तो वो वहीं से सॉल्ट का लॉस करा देगा। रैपिड रिवीजन 4.0 विल कम। आई हैव ऑलरेडी रिकॉर्डेड दैट, अभी आ जाएगा, आई थिंक सितंबर में दे विल रिलीज इट। आधा तो अगस्त इज गॉन, सो इन द सितंबर पार्ट दे विल बी रिलीजिंग दैट, आई थिंक बाय 10th of September or maybe 15th of September maximum। नहीं ठीक हुआ यार, कोविड इज रियली बैड। मतलब हाँ, आई एम बेटर बट ऐसे मतलब इट्स रियली क्रेजी, मतलब बच के रहना है यार। हमें लगता है बट इट रियली हिट्स यू हार्ड। आई मीन इम्यूनिटी लेवल्स हम लोगों के ठीक है तो इसलिए हमें इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता, बट देन 2-4 दिन रियली रियली मिजरेबल। So we're done for today. Thank you so much, and do check out your results also. Keep on working as hard as you guys are doing, and you guys will come out with flying colors. I'm very sure with the kind of responses that I get from you guys. Yep, you are doing the right thing, but don't be overconfident just because I praised you. And take care of all the silly mistakes that you've done today. Go and do this paper again, and check out wherever you went wrong. So take care, guys. Hypersensitivity reaction in myasthenia gravis is type 2। अच्छा ये पूछ रहे हो myasthenia gravis is which type of hypersensitivity? Myasthenia gravis by latest classification is type 5। If type 5 is not given in the options like it happened in your exam, he mentioned 1 2 3 4, then the answer would be given as type 2 hypersensitivity reaction। One would be anaphylaxis, वो तो आसान ही है। Mismatched blood transfusion and RH incompatibility is type 2। Type 3 would be like SLE, immune complex mediated, always. Post streptococcal glomerulonephritis, rheumatic fever is type 2. Myasthenia gravis by the old classification is type 2. Type 4 would be like Mantoux test, Lepromin test. Cassoni would come in type 1। तो ये तो प्रैक्टिस करते रहो, जितनी वैल्यूज आप ऐड कर लोगे उतना ही बढ़िया हो जाएगा हाइपर सेंसिटिविटी रिएक्शंस के लिए। मिनिमम दैट आई वुड एक्सपेक्ट यू टू नो, आई मीन इसके बियॉन्ड ही आना चाहिए तो। यार एटलीस्ट 50-55% तो आना चाहिए ना आज के एग्जाम में। I mean, if you have scored out of this 35 to 40 marks, then it is okay. But anything less than 35 though is not justified. So Arthur's phenomenon, yep, serum sickness। Serum sickness हम देखते हैं anti-snake venin के साथ में, which is also called as Arthur's phenomenon। The person may develop a rash after given a snake anti-venin, देने के बाद पे body पे rash आ जाता है, उसको serum sickness बोलते हैं। So we're done for today, guys. Thank you so much. God bless you, and keep working like you are doing at the moment.